What's up, everybody? What's up, dude?
How's it going, man?
Doing fantastic, brother. Doing good, man. Sick of this weather we got in New York. It's like 45 degrees feels great during the day. The sun goes down and it's like feels like it's zero.
Yep, absolutely, man. It's a hassle for sure, brother.
Oh. Let's see. We got Bjorn stopped in. I don't know if he's still here. Fat Red stopped
Good
in
deal.
and gave a like, and then had to take off because I think he's been working a new job too. So
Oh, cool. Good luck, Farrah.
yeah.
Do your thing, brother.
Oh, so how's the hex stack going?
It's going good, man. You know, obstacles every day, as always. I thought I had everything on the heating stuff done. Things seem to be working okay. And then I ran some additional tests, and it turns out that only half of the plate is getting warm enough to heat properly and keep the resin at the consistent temperature. So I have a shipment that I 3-day shipped from California. I'm waiting for the shipping details to come through. I'm hoping it gets here by Saturday. I was hoping Friday. So that I can put the additional vat bands around the vat. So the vat is the piece where the resin sits in, and there's these thermal vat bands is what they're called, and they have a adhesive tape to them, and they adhese around the unit, and then they have a wire that comes off that plugs into a box that you can control the temperature on, and you can split that off to 3 different units. But unfortunately, the bands I have are about 16 inches long. I didn't realize it because on that one product it didn't say, and I thought it was reaching around the majority of it, reaching around the majority of the vat, but unfortunately it only fits. Let's just say if they're 16 inches, let's just say the whole thing needs to be about 24 to 28 inches around. So I'm probably about 10 to 12 inches shy on the rear side. Yeah, so I'm just going to double them up on each of those. Yeah. And then my larger ones, he has the vendor I bought them from, he has larger ones. So what I did was I bought the larger vat bands for the larger units so I can use those as singulars and whatnot. So hopefully
resin is a finicky thing, man. I tell you, it's like
it is.
If you don't I pour resin, right? And if you don't mix that just right, it doesn't fucking harden right. If you have any kind of fluctuation in temperature that's 5 or 10 degrees, it can make it either get really, really super hard fast or bubble up or look like shit and crack. And it's like, man. And I'm not pouring anything big, right? I'm just pouring like little fucking trinkets and shit. So
it's a hassle. Part of me wishes that I had stuck with the PLA and just went with all those printers because I've seen, what other people have produced with it. And obviously, they don't run into nearly the amount of issues. Yeah, there's still a heating element to it. Yeah. But it just wouldn't be the quality of the product that I'm able to produce. So, I'm happy that I stuck with the resin. And I know that from a consumer standpoint, as a consumer myself,
once you get all the bugs and kinks worked out, you'll be fine.
That's what it is.
And you're going to have a better, more solid product that looks smoother and everything.
And, and thinking back, right? Honestly, I'm really happy that the Kickstarter didn't fund, right? Because what would I be doing? I'd be telling those people that were, backing me that, the product's on its way. The product's on its way. Right now, nobody's out any money. Only person that's out money is me, who's invested in everything. Everyone else, obviously, the support, I continue to appreciate it. But it's coming, and just a couple hiccups. But once I get through that, I'll be running. I'll be off to the races, and we'll be stacks on stacks, right?
You'll be flying, dude. Once you get all the kinks worked.
Oh yeah, because
of course it doesn't help that it doesn't help that living in New York, like I was just saying,
right?
Fucking weather goes up and down so fast, it's not even funny.
Yeah, once the heat's all, at this point, I'm only a month or so away before I'm back into regular heating periods,
right.
And
exactly.
I may not even be worrying about that. And if that's the case, then I'm producing full-fledged regardless. But I'm hoping to resolve the resin heating temperature on my own, so that way, when the season switches again, I can just continue to run. And at the end of the day, the stuff's going to run. And while I've been tinkering with things, I've also been learning more about the resin cleaning, the resin curing. I built out while that stuff's all like, running test prints and testing things, because it takes, an hour or so to print off a batch to find out it failed and things. So, while that's going, I'm over there on the other side of the room building out, large scale resin curing stations that I have myself, using all the smart technologies that I have, so that I can just tell that 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 search engine tool that I have there, where I can say, hey, blah, I want you to turn this thing on. And then all I got to do is it turns things on for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, cures things. And then my wash stations have become automated, right? Like with the, some automated tools that I have. So I've tried to gain efficiencies
It's good
through,
though.
through the thing. So trial and error, a little factory
Yep.
down there. And when I say it's a little factory, it really is a mini factory down there. So it's coming
That's
along.
good though, dude. It's like you said, you got I do it too, with like just anything, right? When you're waiting for like paint to dry, or you're waiting for glue to dry, or like you're waiting for a print to run, you might as well try something else and try making it better on some other thing, right? And throw a new
Yep,
process in there or whatever. What the hell, right?
exactly. Yep.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about Savage Crucible, but before we get started,
Did
I'm
you
going
say
to share.
Savage Crucible?
I did say Savage Crucible. Let me share my screen and we're going to talk about something else really quick.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely, bro.
Let's talk about this bad boy real quick.
That
This
is an
thing,
awesome 1/12 scale vehicle, right?
it is awesome 1/12 scale vehicle,
Except for it's not, right?
except for it's only 1/18th. Now I'll
Right,
tell you
right.
the one thing that I really, really liked about this, and I didn't see it when I was watching the video. I must have missed that part, but like kind of like the Acid Rain vehicle, I really
Yep.
like that you can take the back, little cabin part off, right?
Yeah.
It just gives you so much versatility. Like if you were to buy two of these, you could essentially have two totally different vehicles.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's only from the modular pieces that they have. We
Right.
have so many amazing 3D printers out there, designers, and you've seen other things on there. I can't wait to see what someone that decides to mess around with some Joy Toy customization does to
Oh
that
yeah, dude.
machine.
I look at the front of this thing. It just looks like, it's just a monster. Like if you saw this
Yep.
thing coming down the road at you in your car, you just pull off the street so it didn't run your ass over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's such a clean vehicle. When I saw that this morning, and I think I sent it over to you first thing when
Yep.
I rolled out of bed and was getting going, and I was just swiping through stuff, and I saw that video. It happened to be the first thing in my Instagram feed, and I was like, "Dude, check this out!" Sent it out to Dom over there on Domination Toys, I think is what he
Yeah.
is, and
Toy domination.
yeah, Toy
Yeah.
Domination. Thank you. I sent it over to him because I know he's big 118, and he was like, "Oh, like." I think he's going to talk about it on his show tomorrow. He's pretty pumped up about it. Biggest thing is I wonder what the price is going to be on that thing.
Yeah, I know.
My guess is it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably the same thing as the Acid Rain vehicles, $150.
I'm actually thinking it might be even more expensive. I think it's going to be close to that $200 mark.
You think so?
I mean, the Joy Toy things are a little bit more expensive from what I can tell. So I would assume so. Yeah. I mean, and I recently got
Yeah.
my additional Acid Rain figures that I had been telling you
Oh,
about.
yeah. Yeah.
So I recently got some of those. I received them yesterday. Went through them. They're cool figures. I'm happy with them. The gentleman that I purchased them from is an awesome dude. And here's one of them. He took care of them, shipped them out nicely.
Did you get them from what's his name? From
Eddie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him from Eddie over there. A wonderful dude. He recently had a kid and stuff. He even threw in like a little baby.
Yeah.
And a little baby bottle there, kind of because I've been congratulating him on his recent. He's
That's a
awesome
good dude.
dude.
I hung out with him a little bit at PowerCon, like at the show itself, right? He was a good dude.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
took a
he
picture
was-
with this other dude. I was actually at Spiro's booth, and Eddie was there. And I had already talked to him, and when I was talking to Jason, he found out my name was Ed. And then this
Okay.
other dude was standing there, and him and I were talking about how we're both their names with Ed. He's like, my name's Ed too. And so me, Ed, and Ed and Eddie, it was like, all three of us were Eds. He's like, he wanted that picture to be taken. So
Yeah.
it's like, all right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, so he was cool. But I made that connection from PowerCon and just constantly, because I obviously have that huge love for the AWOC toys and Jason and those guys, everyone over there that I've communicated with.
I don't really understand what his connection to AWOC is.
Eddie's?
Yeah.
From my understanding, he's like a marketing promoter.
He's marketing,
like
right? That's who he's doing.
He works with him in some capacities. I don't know what that exactly is, but I know that the one character that white tiger guy.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
Vero Atlas. He is
Vero
named.
Atlas. Yeah.
He's some kind of named in name of him. So
Yeah.
Eddie's really cool. Got in touch with him. Knew he was selling the Acid Rain stuff a while back. Followed up with him recently when I started getting into the Joy Toys. I was like, hey, you had some of those, right? Did not realize how much the aftermarket price on these Acid Rain figures go for when I first started inquiring. And I didn't own any Acid Rain. I just assumed they'd be very Joy Toy feeling.
Yep.
I had committed to a handful of them from him. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have purchased these, but because I had made the commitment to him already,
Right.
I wasn't going to renege on that and back out. So I did get those from him. Great figures. He threw a couple things in, really cool. Great.
Do those figures feel like the ones you got that were new? The other couple Acid Rains, where they're not quite as solid as the Joy Toy?
You know, the thing is, like, they're easy to take apart.
Right.
Like, in my opinion, a little too easy. And because of it, there's like a big enough gap in this ab area and stuff. There's nothing wrong with the figure. Like, I like them. I got two of these types of guys. They look just kind of like.
Guy? Hold that guy up. Hold on a second. Let me see him. Oh, they're like Space Marine kind of looking dudes.
Yeah, they're like these big, like, military, type guys with like little weird feet things and whatnot. A couple guns. They got some armor on them and stuff. I like them. They're cool. Almost like a boosted up, steroided version of a stormtrooper almost, but like, so they're cool. They fit in very much so with the Joy Toy. But they have like it's just the joints feel different. Like, it doesn't feel like almost. It almost feels like they could break. Like, you could snap them just by bending them. They don't, and they work fine, right? But it just feels like it's got
they
more
just
of
have
like
that more of a fragile feel to them, right?
Yeah. So. Whereas the Joy Toy just feel durable and stable. So, big fan of those. Not a big fan of the Acid Rain. If somebody would ask me, hey, going all in on 118 and I'm only going to collect one line, do you go Joy Toy? Do you get Acid Rain? I would say go Joy Toy all day. I would have said up until today, just stick with the Acid Rain for their vehicles from what I can see. I've never had one in hand, but I would say go with the Acid Rain for the vehicles. In hindsight, though, Joy Toy just smashed the market with that really kick-ass looking truck you had up here before. So I think Acid Rain, in my opinion, very unlikely that I will consume many of their products. Not because they're horrible, just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. Got those, and that vehicle's awesome looking. I will definitely have my eyes on that. Because I could see myself doing so much with that, like getting one of those and then just adding, printing off some sort of trailer or attachments, things like that. Like,
really you could build a whole back cab for the damn thing, so it's something that sits right like a camper site type of thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Whatever.
Absolutely.
If it's the thing is I just have a hard time. The Joy Toy figures themselves cost as much as a 112 figure or 112
figure, hard
right?
Part, man. That's the hard part.
But if you look at what vehicles are out there, they're all coming out around 150 to 200 bucks. So yeah, I could see it being 200 easily, right? But I don't know how much competition they try to do with Acid Rain either. So if they're going to go Acid Rain competition, then they got to keep it in that 150, 160 market bucket, right?
Yep, absolutely. Sorry, I just saw that comment from Brick. Savage time. Brick? Yeah. Hey, Brick.
Well, let's jump into Savage Crucible then. So hit us with what you want to introduce it with.
Yeah, man. I don't have a bunch of stuff to share on screen right away. We can go over and take a look at the Kickstarter, but I've been so pumped with Savage Crucible. We talked last week. I think we kind of dived into a bunch of like conversational points around the Kickstarter, the toy line, things like that. I wrapped up with our thing last week, and then the first thing I did was I went and was like, I got to listen to Rob and those guys over at Crucible and check out what Brick said. And then as Brick can share with you, I think I messaged him to a point where if it was 20 years ago, I'd be broke for all the different messages that I sent him when those things used to cost like 50 cents a text message or whatever. Because I was blowing them up with like, oh man, I think it could be this. I don't know that. And while again, I don't have any inside information. I do think Brick is very close to I think Brick might be onto something with um, Savage Crucible, because they mentioned that their line is going to be compatible with others. That's openly stated by Rob on the call.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple things on his show that they talked about, which was really cool, which I can speak to a little bit. With obviously they have their Kickstarter, they have all of the wave 1, 2, and 3 planned out. We know that wave 1 is targeting somewhere around April, May. They have the Chinese New Year, which is kind of throwing things, in a without with not giving us a concrete date of delivery. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at having wave 1 start landing in folks' hands by May, based on what it sounded like. If not, sometime close to early summer. So it's
So
right
wait, real quick, are they going to be at Joe Fest? I think they are, aren't they?
You know what? Give me 1 second, because I will tell you. It says
I
right
think
on
they
their
said they are,
website.
because that'd be good if they actually have some product in hand at Joe Fest.
So right on their website, it says all of the conventions they're going to be at. They are going to be at Joe Fest. Yep. Yep. So I mean, there's a strong chance that maybe you'll see some product in hand there.
Yeah, because that's good. I mean, worst case, right, there'll be actual production figures there to see anyway. Maybe not buy, but
Yeah.
there'll be some there to see, because that'll be June 23rd that weekend for
Yeah.
Joe Fest.
21st and 23rd. What I'm going to tell you, Ed, and I haven't confirmed this, I don't even know. ZoloCon's going on this weekend down in Pennsylvania. There's a second ZoloCon that they do later on in the summer. It's in August.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and I'm trying to position myself for that to be on my radar. Savage Crucible is going to be there. It's in Warminster, PA. It's warmer. It's in August. I take vacations that time of the year. It's right around PowerCon time from last year. Maybe some folks can hit up that, and we can have a little, toy Leap meetup down there in ZoloCon. I'm hoping to have a booth there. We'll see, but that's my
So
hope.
ZoloCon does 2 a year then?
Yeah, ZoloCon does 2 a year. They have one this weekend, which I had originally wanted to try to get to. Obviously, I wouldn't have had the product based on some of the hiccups I've had. But my biggest concern actually at the time was the time of the year and the weather we deal with, right? I didn't know what was going to happen. And, all the way to PA would be a hassle. So, but they have one later on this year, and I think they might do 3 events. I could be wrong. I'd have to check out ZoloCon.
That must be over towards Philly then, right? Where the Weimeister is?
I don't know. I thought it was like 5 or 6 hours from where I am. I'm looking it up right now. But they have they're not going to be there. It looks like it's probably it's just north of Philadelphia, kind of northeast of King of Prussia, if you're familiar with that area.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like maybe it's like a couple towns over from Trenton, New Jersey, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm hoping to make that trip later on this year for the other one. But they'll be at Joe Fest. Hopefully we'll see some toys in hand before then, but we don't know for sure, right? But hopefully that happens. But on that stream that Brick, really, made me go watch, and man, I was digesting it as much as I could. But they made hints towards they couldn't announce it, maybe a dinosaur, maybe a dragon or something, but they couldn't really go into detail. He just briefed over it real quick. If you weren't paying full attention, you might have completely missed it, but he suggested that there's a collaboration for that. So who knows what that looks like. They also talked about, he very much covered a lot of things where he's, being careful on scale for mounts and things like that. He mentioned not wanting to do horses because, horses already been done really good by 4-H, and, there's been a few others, and unless he sees a lot of value in it, not really makes sense to necessarily do it on his own, because you can get parallel, figures that are already done. Focus on something that hasn't been done, or
Four Horsemen have what, almost 4 horses now for the 4 Horsemen, and then several others. They got the moose, they got the bear coming. So exactly. Then there's other companies doing the wolves that are mounts and a griffin. So you definitely need to focus on something different, right? That's
right. Exactly. And that's what he mentions on the stream. But, he also alludes to, being very open to bringing other things into his universe of the Savage Crucible world, right? And that lore. Right. He did mention already picking up other IPs. He didn't say what they were. He didn't say which ones he was interested. He mentioned some things he might be interested in, but he was very abstract in a lot of the stuff because he had to be non-committal to certain things. It was a very, very informative show. It was really cool to watch. But the one big thing that Brick had me like really digging into was like, what could they be talking about? Because they mentioned that their figures,
Yeah, the pop
they
and
refer
swap.
to them as being pop and swap, right?
Yep.
Having very, ability to make customizations and things like that, make your own characters and stuff. To the fact that they're going to have head packs and all sorts of other packs that they plan to have. Talked about the Lemurians' tails and how they have articulation in them and different things, and how those can be combined together to make even longer single tails, things like that. But
Oh,
he
really?
talks.
That is wild.
Yeah, yeah. He said that you can unhook one and you can daisy chain the tails together, from my understanding, to expand them and make them longer if you want, which I thought was really cool. But he alluded to there being another company, another toy line that he's going to have the ability to work with, and these parts are going to be interchangeable with. So instantly, we talked last week while Brick was just mentioning that in chat, and I was thinking through things like, oh, maybe Four Horsemen, maybe these other things, but competing IPs, things like that. There's going to be some things out there. Today, I decided to just kind of scroll, and I was looking at Boss Fight Studios, I think is what it is, and I saw what they have for their hack stuff, and I saw that they do have some other things out there that are 1/12 scale figures, 6-inch, right? I was looking at them closely, and I'm like, you know what? I think this could maybe be the line. This might be the line where there's some interchangeability there. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, I don't know.
So, what
I
else
don't know
does
where else
Epic
it could
Hacks
be.
have out there besides the skeletons? I know they got some coming, but
So they have, and Brick had mentioned this, and I'm not going to take credit at all for it. He mentioned the one. There's a female. I always forget the name of it. Give me a second. I'm looking at my screen here.
yeah,
When I went to it, it was, I think it was in like the store, maybe. Yeah. So Epic Hacks, I think Hacks is
yep,
what it was.
yep.
The Red Sonja, I think, is what Brick was
Oh, Red
suggesting.
Sonja. Yeah, Red Sonja.
Sonia, yeah, however you pronounce it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a 30 points of articulation.
She's like
1/12 scale.
A Conan
Oh yeah,
adjacent character. So
exactly. So like looking at her, looking at the articulation she has, kind of makes me wonder if that's the direction they may be going. It could fit. So
yeah, for
like
sure.
I thought Brick, yeah, Brick, you're right. That's the
Well,
one.
they're Savage Crucible is doing a Conan figure, right? From Frazetta, right?
So they're doing what's referred to as the ball and chain barbarian, I think is what it
Right.
is. Give me a
Because they
second, I'll
can't call it
confirm it.
Conan without saying that it's whatever it
Right.
is, right?
So they
And
have,
so yeah, that would make sense. That would add up.
yeah, it's called it's the warrior with ball and chain. So that's what they're doing, and that's the one that you
Oh, they're
saw. I think you saw it with the
yeah, it
pins
was
and
at
stuff in it at
PowerCon.
PowerCon.
Yeah.
So there's been some things, yeah. But that's the Frazetta girls, parallel. I don't think it's Conan. I think it's just
It's just a
Conan-esque.
barbarian, yeah. But it was
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep.
That's what
So it's
Brick
really
just
cool
said.
looking. Yep, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
cool looking. I think this could all play into each other. I don't care, but now I want that Hacks figure. So I'm going to
Yeah.
keep my eye out for that, because whether it works with it or not, it's not going to come out till Q3 this year. Whether it works like interchangeable parts, it's adjacent, so it's going to be fit perfect with
Oh,
my
it'll fit just fine.
4-H, my
Yeah.
Savage, my AWOC, like that whole
Yep.
world of stuff. And I mean, she looks pretty badass. So,
You'll have to go and do some research because Red Sonja's been a comic book character for quite some time.
I've seen it. I've seen her.
Yeah.
Like that's not the first. I just suck at pronouncing things. It's like
Right.
I
I'm saying,
cannot
like,
pronounce things.
some of her stories are really cool. If you like
Okay,
the
cool.
Savage Crucible, you'd probably like some of her stories.
Yeah, I mean, I've been I've been cheesily like, I one of the things I marked out for when Rob said it on the call was, I hope they size Reg on up to work with the Legion. I really do too. Because the one concern I have with Boss Fight, which I finally saw, someone did a comparison. Because again, going back to my pro wrestling love, there's a couple indie wrestlers that are out there that had signed deals with Boss Fight Studios. They made their action figures, and they scaled them to. They say they scaled them to 6-inch scale, and now they're claiming that the WWE elites are not completely, they're not completely the same scale, so it causes an issue. But they're smaller, and I was like bummed out about it because they don't look as good.
Yeah.
So if they are going to go this route and they are doing a 1/12, I hope they really scale it up to be that 1/12 plus scale, right? Like,
Yeah. In the stories, she's always been, you know, an Amazon type
mhm.
female, right? So a little taller, a little bigger, you know.
She makes
Not
me think like of a redhead Xena,
Yeah,
warrior princess type
exactly,
thing.
exactly. Yep, exactly what it is. And
Yeah,
yeah, as
that's what
Brick
I thought
said,
when I started.
they did do a Red Sonja movie back in the day with Schwarzenegger, where basically
Oh,
Schwarzenegger was Conan without being named Conan. And I can't think of the actress's name that played Red Sonja, but
okay.
it was a if you saw the 80s Conan movies and Red
Yeah,
Sonja would have fit was
I did when I was little. My dad was
yeah.
into them, but and this I got to get back. I'm gonna start plexing them when I'm not busy. But like my work schedule, I've literally been on calls from back to back, from like 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 p.m. in the afternoon every day with client calls in preparation for this big project I'm working on. So I haven't had normally. I have like time where I'm working and I can throw something up on the TV and just listen
Yeah.
and consume while I'm busy. But unfortunately, being on calls, you can't have those
Yeah.
parallel streams going. And what I want to do is,
Especially when the stuff on your TV is more interesting than what the shit's going on in your conversation at work.
well, unfortunately, especially when you're like running things, right, and
Yeah.
have to gather all that
Yeah.
information. So yeah, it makes it kind of hard. Um, yeah. Hey, Brick, get better, buddy. I just saw that.
Yeah.
Feel better, man. I'd be sick. I'd be sick too if all I want to do was play with my Savage Crucible toys. Um,
Brick
no.
needs to start taking more vitamin C or something. This is like the second time he's been knocked down pretty good. So
Yeah, feel better, brother. Um, so yeah, that's what Rob when he's talking, like one of the questions somebody asked was what lines or IPs, would you really love to bring into Savage Crucible? What would be one that you was cool? So for me, I was poor when I was a kid. We didn't have cable, but what we did have is those at the time when I was very young, Fox on Saturdays
yep.
and Sundays, and they had Hercules and they had Xena and they had Beastmasters,
Yeah.
and or Beastmaster, I think is what it's called, and like some of those shows. So like he mentioned Beastmasters, and I was like, oh man, I remember that. Now I'm like, I got to go back and watch this stuff, and I haven't had a chance yet, but like I'm
I just
definitely going to
watched
go
the
there.
Beastmaster, the first movie, probably last year, shortly after we got back from PowerCon. I probably
Oh,
watched.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about the movies. I'm talking about I didn't even know there was a movie. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the television series where there
Yeah.
was like the young kid or whatever.
Yep. If you
And
could watch the first Beastmaster movie, though,
yeah.
that is an incredible movie.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check it out
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean,
So
it's 80s, it's not 80s fantasy, right? So I mean, you know,
yeah,
it's not like today's standards of, you know,
no,
fantasy
it's
or
not
whatever. So I mean,
MCU
yeah,
early phase
yeah,
one,
it's a
two
great
stuff.
movie
But
though.
yeah, cool. I'll have to check it out. But so there was that really good show. And last week I did that. And then I finally picked up my comic book, which had been sitting there. And, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. I picked this up and I finally finished reading it. And by gosh, this is freaking awesome. The lore is so cool. Dude, Brick, this is the guy that knows Star Wars is a ripoff of Spaceballs.
I was just
So
gonna
does
say
that
that, right?
really shock you? So he didn't say he was doing Beastmasters in Savage Crucible. He just said that these are things that he would like to potentially bring in. He's
I could
very
see
open.
Beastmaster would fit right in with Savage Crucible, though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's the piece. Like, he definitely alluded to like he can bring things in, but he also wants to do his own piece with it, but things like that. So we know the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter I'll talk about after I talk a little bit about the graphic novel. So for those that haven't read the graphic novel, you suck. I waited forever to read it. You should definitely go read it. But I'm going to give some kind of like overview of kind of the
so real quick, is the
yeah.
graphic novel available to order on their website?
Hold on a second. You can actually download the digital one for $10 right now. I didn't even know that. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to download that. But
all right, so you can download the digital one for $10, and
yeah,
can you buy the hard copy?
I don't see the hard copy.
Where did you get your hard copy?
Kickstarter, brother, along
Oh,
with all my coins. So let's talk about. I guess we'll start with the Kickstarter.
let's start
Got
with
the
the Kickstarter.
Savage Crucible graphic novel that came like nearly right after the. I feel like right after the Kickstarter ended. It also came with. I also got my. I'm sure you guys have seen these around.
That thing is awesome.
This coin, which is the decoder coin, which is really cool. Like,
So
I'm not sure.
I have to give it to Savage Crucible to marketing that way, where they sent those
100%.
coins out and didn't tell anybody what the fuck they were. I remember watching Robo got it and he was just like, what the hell is this thing? And then
Yep.
he decoded it and it took him to the Savage Crucible website that took him to the Kickstarter. So awesome,
Yep.
awesome concept for marketing.
Yep. So I just looked online, and so I'm going to be careful about what I do because I don't want to go against what Savage Crucible and Harbinger Studios is doing. They have their PDF for sale. I'll just flip through the graphic novel briefly, giving some insight, but I'm not going to be sharing anything. Definitely go out and buy it, support these guys because they're awesome. Some other coins that I got, I think these are the 7 dwarf coins or whatever they were.
Oh, that was sweet.
So there's some cool dwarven coins here. So at some point when the world goes to shit, Travis has all of this to use as
to barter with.
To barter, yeah. So I'll be bartering my
Well, we'll make some molds of them, and then we can just start casting our own.
Right, exactly. That's what we'll do. Is we'll just start casting our own out of aluminum cans.
Yeah,
up here in upstate New York. So very, very cool. So Savage Crucible is freaking awesome. I don't know if you can. So I remember on the call they talked about. You can still do some of the backer kit stuff, things like that. Check out their website. Go to savagecrucible.com. They got everything there from their cons to the shop, which you can, like I said, you can download the digital download. Go get it. The thing is freaking awesome.
And the digital download's $10, right? You said?
Yeah, it's $10. Come on, I mean $10, dude. It's like a cup of coffee nowadays, right?
Yep.
Right now, and what I will say is what I love about Savage Crucible is that they are not taking pre-orders for Wave 2 until they get stuff out for Wave 1, which is like commendable. Like, hey, like, and that's the thing about Rob. He's like, I don't want people having outstanding like pre-orders and stuff for more than a wave or 2.
Right. So the other thing is, right, like, let's say you went all in on the Kickstarter. You
all in and then some. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, when I'm talking to Travis, do I really need to mention that? Because everybody knows, right?
Right.
There's no half-assing it with Travis. It's actually like the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But like, let's just say you ordered all of Wave 1, you get them, and then you find out you don't really like them. Do you really want to be ass deep in a pre-order on Wave 2 and have to have everybody cancel those, right?
Right. If you didn't kickstart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a better option, for the company and for the consumer to just wait.
Absolutely. And look, the nice thing about what they did, and Brick's 100% right. That Kickstarter was blazing.
I remember when I watched the Kickstarter, it was like funded in like 0 time, and it got like way over what they were looking for, right?
I mean, I'm looking at the page, right? So their goal was simply to hit, where was it? Did it tell you? So their goal was $120,000.
Yeah, they hit like 400 something, didn't they?
They hit $653,000 with backers of almost 2,000.
Yeah.
And I was in the 1,500s, and I was upping it as we went along. like I was like, moving along with them. Yeah, that's really the first Kickstarter from an action figure line that I ever got into, because for me, I didn't get into AWOCs until after they started shipping.
Yeah, me too.
And even Valiverse stuff, Action Force, I didn't get into that until like maybe a month or 2 before he got in the orders that you could place on his site. I was able to just place pre-orders on his site, and then a couple of weeks later or so, stuff started shipping out.
Yeah.
So again, I didn't. This is the first toy line, and I was like, I'll give all the credit to the guy who got me into these, and it was Jeremy J, because I was watching him on some of his shows, and he was talking about this. He was talking about the AWOCs, and I was like, dude, how do these scale with AWOCs? Because I'm really into the AWOC stuff. And he was like, you'd have to go check some other people, but maybe check out D-Mazing, things like that. I started looking into videos, and I was like, oh, these will be good. These will be really good together, and they'll kind of play. And now, and again, I love the AWOC. I don't even know if I'll use them a ton together, but I love the way the Savage Crucible stuff looks. It's just got more of like a dark Vermeer ness to them, which, the AWOC stuff is really good though too. Like
the AWOC stuff, I love the AWOC stuff, but AWOC stuff, for what they've released so far, right, is not gritty, right?
Right. It works for me and my kid, my youngest son.
It's like an action figure line of a cartoon from the 80s, right?
Exactly. 100%.
Highly detailed and articulated and stuff compared to what we used to get, but like the feel of it is definitely like an 80s cartoon action figure line.
It makes me think of like Thundercats or something
right?
like that. Yep.
Whereas Savage Crucible definitely has a lot of grit to it.
It's what they would have come out around the same time, but it would have been intended for the dads to dig into.
Exactly.
So like, my 13-year-old's more than capable of getting into what I've seen in the Savage Crucible graphic novel so far. One of the things I want to call out is it's really cool. They've got like some world maps and stuff in here. Like they've got like additional maps that show like the whole world, like on the inside of the books and stuff. The artwork's really, really cool. The story is really cool for me. One of the things I love, which I still haven't figured out what he's saying in it, is, and then this goes into kind of the graphic novel, right? So I've got some notes on my screen. So if you see me looking over here, basically, I'll start covering some of the graphic novel and the kind of the story lore of it, right? So like for those that haven't done the lore and want to read the graphic novel, go download that, read it, and then come back and watch this later. Otherwise, stick around and I'll give you some kind of like what the lore is from this and how because I fell in love with it after I read it. Already knew I was going to like it just from like the visuals, but having sat and read it, I'm like, this is really cool. I saw someone refer to Savage Crucible on one of the groups or something the other day, or maybe it was during the live stream. Somebody referred to it as, let's not kid ourselves, it's basically Fortnite. It's an island where they're just battling. It's definitely way more. I'm not a huge fan of Fortnite and those things, but to me, it's way more and it's way cooler than that. But basically, this.
What the hell stream was that on? That was said. Was that Lawrence's on Monday?
No, I think it was on. I think it might have been on the Savage Crucible one. Somebody in the comments or something might have said it or something.
Because somebody said that I saw it somewhere too, and I didn't watch that stream, so it can't be.
Maybe it was on Lawrence. Maybe it was. Yeah. I don't remember where I saw it, but
I know me neither. I watch too much shit on YouTube anyway. So.
Somebody made the comment about it, and it is they called it that. But to me, it's like as I'm looking at it, from a story perspective, this book really kind of covers your main piece in the center, which is Who-Man, which I thought was kind of.
Let's show the cover real quick so we can show that part.
Yeah, I can show the cover. This is all out there. So this is Who-Man. You got like this other human guy here, which I'll talk about him. And then you got like this tiger, anthropomorphic tiger. You've got this other human here, or what seems to be a human. And then you have a lizard person. And then you have like the Thing, like a brick looking dude. And, there's one thing that I think is really cool in this comic. And there's a portion of the story where basically the story's following Who-Man and this group of individuals, those people on the cover that we just covered. And basically it's the point in which you get introduced to Human. He kind of like, appears, out of thin air. I guess there's ways you can transport to the Crucible. Some things or people are there. Beings are there. And then, somehow you can transfer out of nowhere, right? Like you see a light and boom, you go into it and you end up in the Crucible. Well, when you're being captured and stuff, and when you get there, there's some native language to the Crucible. And it's basically all of those characters on that decoder coin that you have. And in the comic, there's like 2 full pages of artwork where Who-Man is speaking. You don't know it's Who-Man at the time, but he's speaking, and all of it is those characters. I haven't gone through and deciphered to see what he's saying. I need to do that. And I'll probably do that at some point in the next week or so. But basically, what ends up happening is they throw some sort of what is it called? It's a parasite down his throat. And the idea, and they explain it as they go through the story, this parasite, and they do this to everyone. They throw the parasite in. Parasite somehow attaches itself to the being, and the parasite helps interpretate the communication. So speaking a different tongue or many different tongues, you hear it as if it's English speaking like we are right now. And when you speak, even though you're speaking in your English dialect or whatever, it is still perceived as whatever that native language they are. So it's kind of cool, like way to say that everybody can communicate. And the way to do it is through this parasite that they throw down your throat in a really gross manner. And because it just looks like a leech being thrown down.
I've seen that in a movie somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, so it's kind of a cool approach, and it kind of brings that. And then what happens is you start to see them basically going to be like shackled and, lugged off like they're going to be like slaves or enslaved in some manner. And there's like this key focus of a guy, I'll call him their trainer. I don't know his name. He kind of goes along and ends up, pulling down, they travel into this place called Vorsk, which I'm probably pronouncing it completely wrong. But it's like basically where they forge the warriors. And the idea is it basically leads to this they're training these enslaved creatures and beings to be fighters, right? Like, and the reason is that they're going to be doing it for sport, right? It's a blood sport. They have this thing called the Ascension Day.
So it's kind of like the gladiators of old, where they get
very much
basically and made to fight.
Yeah, exactly. So they enslave them and then they train them, but they train them. This trainer who's captured them has them in basically like this gladiator cathedral, like gladiator ruins type thing. And they're there and they're coaching and teaching them how to fight, be faster, stronger, bigger, all that stuff, right? And early on when you first see Who-Man, he's a tiny little guy. Like he looks like a tiny little teenager. And by the time they kind of go through this chapter of the novel here, he he's developed into a much more what you see on the cover, right? More of a He-Man, like, Who-Man. And the other thing is they allude to, there's this way to be connected to universal beings that they can now leverage some ancient powers or something. It's called forging in the comic. They refer to it as forging. So beyond just being stronger and bigger, they can forge power. And to me, that's cool because now you've entered this whole other magic thing, and they can forge, but they can forge, through like natural like doing, but they can also forge through their weapons. So now their blades, as you can see in the cover, they get highlighted with like, weapons and some sort of illuminated power, right? So they have that. And then kind of they go through that process and you're teed into some of the lure stuff through that. And then, what ends up happening is on the day before Ascension Day or whatever, which Ascension Day is basically, it's the games, it's the gladiator games essentially, where they're going to have all of these individuals they've trained, the anthropomorphic tigers and stuff, and they're going to go ahead and battle it out. Well, these like higher being guys show up and they're like, no, we want to see a rehearsal today and we want blood. So, some of the heroes in this portion are like Who-Man, Kastan. Kastan is the lizard-looking dude. Akuna is the tiger, and then there's a few others, right? Well, they select the lizard, Kastun, and then they pick the other human that's there, and they're battling it out in the gladiator thing, for blood and stuff. And then in the midst of it, those two basically like flip the script and they attack these higher beings and their trainers and all of the people. And then the other gladiators that are there as part of this group do the same. So they end up fighting them. The human, that guy, not Who-Man, but the other human individual, ends up being killed after attacking one of these higher priest type characters. And then, he's the only one killed at that point. Our heroes kind of win the battle in the moment, right? They grab their trainer, they hang him upside down by chains at his feet, and they're questioning him, which is where you lead to more lore. It turns out like they're being sold on this idea originally that, by battling, the winners are going to go to the heavens or something, right? And, you're going to be celebrated. And those who die, they die, right? Shut up, punk. Did you back it, dude? So like basically,
He probably backed like one piranha or something. And,
yeah, no one hit me
complaining
like
about it. Like,
ex-
like, give me my
he,
toy, damn it.
he probably backed one of the blanks, the $15.99 blank, and he's like, "Where's my $15 toy?" You know.
Yeah.
No, hey Lawrence. So basically, you start to hear some of the story of like what they were being sold and what they were trying to do. Come to find out, the trainer starts to narc on the whole process. And really what it was is these gladiators were essentially sacrifices. The ones that died on the battlefield and the ones that won, the ones that were, won, they would just be murdered after. And their life force, somehow there's a spell and it would re-energize all these higher backers, or these higher powers, and those these these higher powers and higher backers.
Fantasy Spartacus is just about what it is.
Exactly. And it's really cool. So like they go in through that process, and you find out that these trainers and these higher priests, they were just these old individuals who were deteriorating, and the reason they have Ascension Day is to recharge themselves, like vampires or some other type of thing. Well, they're like, holy crap, what are we going to do? Okay, did we know this? That type of thing. Well, they decide that they need to escape where they are and work their way out. On their way out, they're kind of their cover's blown, and then they start battling it out with all these other people. Well, long story short, Who-Man and one other human-like character survive that whole battle. And then there's the high priest or the holy priest or whatever. They come across them. The female human that Who-Man has survived with ends up, sacrificing herself to attack this highest person, kills them off. Who-Man is like the only survivor, and then he wanders off, and it kind of fast forwards to him kind of looking even older and more bulky and more kind of like what would it be like? I'm trying to think of the word. He's more rundown. I don't want to say rundown, but he's more gritty, right? Like, because it looks like he's been through some crap.
Yeah.
So, he keeps going. He gets to that point where he's gotten through his crap, and he's telling the story to someone in front of a fire. And beside him is this dog. It's like this big, tall dog. And it turns out that that's the dog that when he first came to the Crucible, you assume, or you're led to believe that it's his brother's dog that he was with walking or whatever when he somehow transported to the Crucible, telling the story to someone else. And then kind of in the clouds, you can see like the characters of that hero group that he was with. But then they flip to another kind of like fast forward kind of deviation on the next section of pictures, and they show this, I assume it's like the Harbinger of the Abyss, which is like one of the major villains that you kind of are alluded to in the Kickstarter. And basically, he's a sissy. Who-Man is not a man. No, he did let the female sacrifice herself. And basically,
it's barbarian stuff, Todd. Not nobility. It's not medieval. There's no chivalry yet. This is just
right.
Everyone for themselves, man.
Exactly. So they kind of close. Yes, he was wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt when he first arrived. He was a small, kind of skinny teenager looking dude. So it's very like pulled from like our world today in some ways. But then you have these Lemurians, which are these savage lizards, and you, as I was about to allude to, you have really
ultimately Who-Man, however you say his name.
Who-Man. It's literally WHO-man. So it's He-Man, but Who-Man. Right.
So really, it's kind of like the old D&D cartoon where the kids go on a roller coaster ride and get transported to the realm of Dungeons and Dragons, and mixed with Fortnite, mixed with some other badass shit. Yeah. Right? That's awesome, because
with like all sorts of other characters and stuff. Right. And what Rob said in his streams and stuff is that you've only seen, and what I was alluding to on like the last page, which is really cool, is I think it's the Harbinger. I think it's like their major villain in the Harbinger of the Abyss. He finds some scroll book that he suggests or implies that the higher priest people were guarding and not using to its fullest power to truly find out what the Crucible is. And he's surrounded by what I believe in the the graphic novel to be those what are they called? They're the fish people, the piranhoids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's how you would hear the because the first time you hear his name, it's it's said by the tiger. I think the tiger says it. So as you're reading it, at least in my mind, I heard it as if it was like an anamorphic character saying "Who man?" Like you're a human, but that's his name. Very much like Brick is saying there. That's how I perceived it when reading the novel. And then he talked about him being warm blooded, and you knew it was like a reference to the human race.
Right.
But they introduced the, I believe, the Piranoid kind of race and stuff with the Harbinger. It leaves it open to some really cool follow up story. The lore is really cool to me
As a
because it's.
harbinger, the guy with the Chululu face.
So I'll open up if you want me to share my
Yeah,
screen.
share for sure.
I can now I'll open up the um I'll open up the give me actually I'm gonna open it up in an incognito window so it's not me logged in. And that way it
You
should.
froze up there for a second. I don't know what you said.
Oh, I'm opening it up in a non in
Oh,
so I'm not logged in, so you can't see
yeah.
like what I backed and stuff. So just give me a second.
Come on, we want to see how much money you put down on
God,
this,
I just
and your address, and everything else about your life. Even though I already have your address.
right. I think this is the one. Okay, cool. So
Yep.
Kickstarter, obviously you can't back it anymore. They have some early backer. They have some what are those other things are called? Those backer kits, things like that. You
Yeah.
can still get a hold of some. Big Bad Toys has some. I don't think Hello Dope has these right now. I don't recall. That's where I would go initially, but I don't know if they got in at this level yet. Um, but basically, the guy we were just talking about is. We'll scroll down. I'll come back to all these other areas real quick. We could touch on them a little bit more, but
So, did you order all these accessory kits and everything?
I don't know.
I care not to say here at this point in time.
I will not self-incriminate.
That's right.
Yes, I think I don't think there's a thing that's coming out that I don't actually have coming.
Oh my lord.
This I believe is to be a harbinger of the abyss. And because if it got to a certain threshold, they were going to release the STL files for people to download.
Oh, for downloading the throne, right?
The Abysmal Throne, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll get this file and I can print this.
That is awesome.
So
I'll
I'm looking
definitely
forward.
take one of those.
Oh yeah, I'm totally going to be printing out this because that's going to be cool, and then painting it. So yeah, I'll make sure I have one of those. Right, I'll make sure we're good to go on that. But yeah, so that's that character. Trying to find. So like you can see some of the paint apps and stuff here. I think I showed some of that last week. You can see the
I like that dude that you just passed in the hood, the little like wolf or
Janger. I think it's like Yanger or something like that. Yeah,
Jaeger,
I'll show you.
right?
I'll show you here. I'll go to the human section first.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the fact that we had Who Man to talk about. So wave 2 is the human grouping here. So you have wave 2. If they got to this, they were gonna do this. Obviously, we're a little bit behind on the original timelines, but honestly, as long as they come, I don't care.
Yeah.
You have Who Man. So this is really like that first graphic novel, what it's about. You get a good idea of who he is and kind of his initial starting story. So you've got the color here. Then you have this other character, Krieger the Shunned. So you can see him with the paint app looking, details and stuff. He is not, from what I could tell, in the first graphic novel. I didn't hear a reference to him or anything like that, but he looks pretty badass. Love that big sword there and the fact that he's got the shoulder pads and stuff. So then you have Nashorn, the Disinherited. Not even sure what he is. There was nothing that I saw. I have no idea.
The one thing I like about what Savage is doing that Mythic Legions really falls short on a lot of times is they don't do a lot of sheaths for their swords for Mythic Legions.
What is it that I have a bunch of sheaths for then? Hold on. Oh, you know what? Those are my Joy Toys. I was just thinking. I know that I have a ton of sheets right now, but
Yeah.
those are some of the Joy Toys that I have. Yeah, no, you're probably right on that. Yeah, but what I like, and again, I
I mean,
haven't
they do
held one
have
in my
some,
hands.
but they have a lot of characters that don't have sheaths.
Yeah, yeah. What I will say from the Savage Crucible to Four Horsemen, and again, this is only having seen in PowerCon and not played or held with,
Yeah.
but the Savage Crucible, from everything I can tell, it seems that they've added the articulation points that I feel are drastically missing from the Four Horsemen. That if you remember back when I first got my first Four Horsemen last year, and I was like, hey, is this really like their
Yeah.
articulation for all of them?
Yep.
I understand the pop and swap aspect, and this isn't to say that Four Horsemen is not producing a good product. It's
Right.
just that was one of my first perspectives of Four
Well, the
Horsemen.
Valiant Knight goes on sale this weekend.
I did see that. I did see that.
And
There's
that
quite a
is
few
supposed to
things.
have that's the figure that's supposed to have the newest articulation in it. So I'm very interested to see. I mean, from the pictures, it looks like the articulation is increased
Okay,
significantly, but
I'll have to
you know,
check it out.
we'll have to see how that
There's
goes.
some things on there that I think I want to get. I think I want to get an orc, or an ogre, or whatever they are. I think I want to get one of those just because they're
Yeah.
big.
Yep.
But I mean, I have a bunch of Four Horsemen stuff, so
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying one versus the other. This isn't a Joe versus action for it. It's not about that, right? Like it's just
Yep.
another line. I just really like the story on this one. I'm at the ground level with it, so it's
Well,
not having to.
these guys, I mean, like Savage is going to take and be added to people's Mythic Legions collections, right?
Oh, you'd
I
be
mean,
crazy not to.
right. So all these fantasy based lines that are coming out now, people are just going to mush them all together, right? And you're going to have the people that only collect Savage, you're going to have the people that only collect Mythic, right? But there's a ton of people that are just going to smash them all together.
Right. You see Punk's comment there? Can you pull that one up? Yeah. That's not what I said, Punk, but thank you.
He's just trying to start shit.
Oh, I know he is. I know he is. No. But yeah, these are all going to be, what is the word? It's like mythic adjacent or whatever folks use. They use that adjacent term. So mythic adjacent, Savage Crucible adjacent, whatever. It's the same thing
Yeah.
as what is it? Fire and Ice, right? Like
Yeah.
the
Frazetta Girls.
Yep.
Even that new line we talked about last week, that big fucking, the hell's those guys called? That the new one that's coming out.
The gladiator looking things, that brute
Yeah.
stuff.
Bru-
Yeah, the
brutal
big thick
Force
one.
or Brutal, whatever
Brutal
it's
Realm,
called.
maybe Brutal Realm.
Realm. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, those will go right in with this stuff from what I can tell. Like I see this.
Oh yeah,
This is
and
the
Zazray's got all their stuff with the gladiators and the minotaurs and the
Yep.
the
Oh, I
Romans.
just got notice from 5K that those big dinosaur bull looking dudes are in, and I got
the minotaurs. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to get the rhino.
Ugh,
The rhino that's on that same body. Damn.
I don't want to pay for them.
Yeah, me neither.
I already put a deposit down though, so it's like just let's clear it up and be done. Let's be done. But yeah, so there's this, and I'm gonna say his name's Jaeger because I'm assuming that's how it is, but I don't know. But he looks cool. He seems to be one of the characters that a lot of folks are. I didn't see the.
That's a very solid point, Todd.
Well, yeah, I mean that's very possible. I don't think that's what you're going to get from this group. I think you're going to have.
No.
I think you're going to have two companies that continue to do what they do best, and they're going to drive it forward, and they're going to allow the consumers to just enjoy, hopefully, the product.
Yeah, for sure.
You have him. So
like I just love all the designs of the way they have these swords, right?
Oh so yeah,
they're so like they're realistic looking, but they're like tweaked just enough to be kind of its own fantasy type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you have their IP related one to Frazetta. Right? Yep. So this is the warrior with ball and chain, which they did have it available to view early prototype at PowerCon last year and probably some of the other events they've been to. Really cool figure. And fits, from seeing it in person, looks like it's going to fit perfectly with your Fire and Ice character. So that. Then you have, what's really cool is they have these character packs, which I love. I love that
Yeah, I
they
really
did these
like this when the
character
Kickstarter
packs.
first came out. I checked it out. I like the character packs.
That to me is a huge upsell to them because you don't have to go and buy the figure. And that was the thing that they didn't want people to do. They didn't want people to have to feel like they had to buy every single fit, like a ton of figures. They wanted people to feel like you could have one figure and you can just kind of pop some stuff off, switch it
Yeah.
around. So, you know, you
Well, it's
get these
also great for
accessory
army
packs.
building, right? So if you bought a couple
Exactly.
different lizards, you could, make them into a couple different
Yep.
lizard warriors, soldiers,
Yeah,
whatever.
or you know, you get the if you got a bunch of the what I think there's a barbarian. There's like a generic barbarian. I think maybe it's that guy or where is it? There's one. It's kind of like this guy, Krager. He could be,
Yeah.
or even Who-Man can be like a generic, person. You can take off the armor
Yep.
that's there. You can swap on, this barbarian character pack too,
Yep.
which has got two other unique heads, three other unique heads, whatever it is. You got some middle finger flipping hands.
That sword is
You know,
fucking badass.
a massive weapon here. So that's those. Exactly, Brick. Exactly.
Yep.
Sorry, I was just reading that on screen. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Let's rock and roll with some really kick-ass figures and, just enjoy them. I'm not getting caught up in the muddy water. I'm gonna play and I'm gonna have fun with my toys. That's what's gonna be about.
Yep.
Wave
Yeah,
one,
just give me
which
some cool fucking plastic. I don't give a shit what happens.
give me my plastic crack and let me enjoy the hell out of it.
That's right.
Like so wave one, this was their initial launch. Love the artwork here, right? Like you can see right there. And this is what they refer to as the Lumerians, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yep.
You have this Nin Vilmer, who seems to be a fairly known character. You don't have any reference to any specific. I didn't see any, and I don't recall any within the graphic novel that refers to any specific character shown here within the Savage Crucible graphic novel. So I really look forward to the next novel that has some more lore around these guys. Because right now you don't have them. I guess this is a Saurian, and then you have Lemurians right here, right? And Como of the Isles. You have the Royal Guard, whatever that plays into. And again, these tails are there's a couple different ones. Wish I was able to back more than I did. I only went 8 figures. I need to go Travis to play with the rest. Brick, you are always welcome, dude. Come coast to coast, brother. We can set up and play, man. I'm down for it.
What's up, Payne?
And then that's a good point, right? So Brick, I know you were only able to get in for those right now, and welcome, Payne. The one thing that's cool about it, yeah, you get the best price at the Kickstarter. Hard to justify maybe paying a premium to pre-order them or order them when they're on another site like Big Bad or Helidope, whoever gets them. But what you'll want to do is if there's somebody you really want and you start to see those videos on, get out and get it ordered when you get a chance, because Savage Crucible, Havager, company, they will not be re-releasing the same figures again. It is officially stated on their FAQ that they will only release the figure one time. However, you could see alternative, paint apps and stuff in the future. But like a specific character, like let's say Como of the Isles, you're not going to see that figure again outside of Wave 1. So some really cool figures. The tails, like I said, there's different tails on different ones. They're, like I said, you could daisy chain them together. It's creating a longer tail. Some of the tails have multiple points of articulation where others don't. I love these like savages that they have, which are basically just their bare bones figures.
Yeah.
They even have the slates, right? Which are even more bare bones than the what are they called? The savages, right? The slates are, from what I can tell, a more generic paint app, where it's a less detail on that. So for those that want to really customize and stuff, which I think is even cooler, in army building and stuff, I don't remember what this was exactly, or I guess it's right here, $15 for a fully articulated figure. That's pretty freaking awesome during a Kickstarter.
Yeah, dude. For that type of figure too, right? Highly detailed paint apps like crazy.
Well,
right?
the paint app is, I think that's the difference between the slate. I don't remember exactly, but I think that's the difference between the Lemurian, the Savage version and the slate version. Comes with all the same stuff, but you'll notice that I believe what it is they're probably injecting molding it with one color or whatever, and it's allowing them to keep the price point down because there's not multiple
Yeah.
paint apps. So this is a very basic one for somebody to do some customization to. Yeah, so Payne confirmed that. But yeah, you can definitely do a ton of stuff there. And again, you see some more character packs with some additional heads. You can see they have another one here. You got your like additional type of lizard-like characters and stuff, almost like spitters or something from Jurassic Park and all that fun stuff. And then I showed you guys these, but here's a close-up: Dwarven coin sets. You get the deciphering, corn. Mine is in silver. This, I think there might have been some that came in gold. Somehow you can get a gold one, but I only have the silver one. And then you can get the really cool kick-ass graphic novel. I got the printed version. You can still get the $10 one off their website directly. I think I ordered the Lemurian coins. I don't think I got them yet, though. And I don't think I got this one or the Paranoid. I got this other set here, the Dwarven coin set. I didn't get the other ones yet, but they're all coming with the waves. So I'm definitely get that. I might be getting a second set of these too, because if I got 2 sets of wave 1, I should get 2 sets of the Lemurian coin. Yeah, and then you have the scrolling down farther. You have the Paranoid figures, which are with the Harbinger of the Abyss, I believe.
Hold on a second, Travis.
Yeah.
Stanley Toy Channel is asking, how can you back this? This Kickstarter is actually over. The figures are already in production, actually finished production, and should be shipping sometime in April, hopefully. And then they'll go up for pre-order on some of the stuff will go up for order on like the typical online retailers, Hella Dope, Big Bad Toy Store.
You can see here, Kickstarter, 325 days, 23 hours, 8 minutes. They got a little timer up here, trying to let everybody know how far out they are. Hey, we still aren't a year away from the Kickstarter, so there's that. You can go on the shopping page, you can go to the order page, and there's a pre-sales live, limited quantities. Wave 1 is estimated sometime Q4 or Q1 of 2024. That I think has changed a little bit because we're looking more now, we're moving like in sometime in April, maybe May, give or take. Sometime, and they have some that are sold out and some that are still available. I know some limited supply of things. I believe the slates are sold out pretty much everywhere in the US. I'm not 100% sure though. I think that's what Rob was saying on the show last week that I listened to. So they're only taking orders for wave 1 right now. Once wave 1 is done, they will have start doing the orders for the other. There is I don't know where to find their partners. Yeah, I don't know where to find their partners who they have working with them, but yeah.
I know Hella Dope had one listed for a little while, or 1 or 2, and it's not on their website anymore, and it's not on Big Bad either. So they might have pulled them back from them until they actually get production.
I thought I saw Big Bad still had them because they were saying it the other day. So yeah, so Big Bad still has some of them.
Do they still have them up there?
So they still have the Camo, Royal Guard, Nin Valmor. I mean, you're paying for it though. Should have backed it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even the slate, which they're sold out of right now, is $28.
Yeah.
They were selling for like $15 on the Kickstarter. So, there's risk with the Kickstarter for sure. But if it all comes to fruition, I will be much happier with my $15 slates than $30 slates. Yeah,
absolutely.
The Paranoids here, they're like my least favorite, but I still backed them because I was like, well, I'm, like I said earlier, I'm all in on this and I'm at the ground level. I'm not late to the game. I want to make sure I get what's out there and like get in on it. So, I got these two. They're cool looking. I'm not sure if I'll love them or I'll want to move on from this, the
Paranoids,
this race or whatever.
Yeah.
But the
some
fact
of them, The ones that had a power con looked really, really cool, but I just don't know if it's something I'd be interested in.
Exactly. That's
I
exactly
mean,
where
maybe
I'm
one
at.
of them as a character in the thing, but it's like
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, right there with you. Like they very much so have those, and then you have
that's the dude I was talking about.
yeah, this guy,
Yeah,
Harbinger of the Abyss. I
yeah,
don't know that that's the character in the comic from what I was looking at. It's hard to tell. I actually it's not hard to tell. The person in the comic is not that person, but I'm pretty confident he somehow ties to that person
yeah,
because the person that's in the comic is a badass looking dude. He looks, I can't wait till that figure comes out. Whatever he is, he looks like, I don't know. He's awesome. I'll look and see if they have any concept art on their page here in a
yeah.
second.
I wonder if this
Share
guy
that.
like transforms into him, or
That's
if he,
what I was wondering, or if
becomes him when he gets some power or something, right? Some kind of
exactly
mystical power.
maybe this staff here. I don't know.
Hmm.
Exactly what I was thinking. Again,
Yeah, he gets the
diving into that
trident.
lore.
Bam.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So like there's again, you got your character packs so you can make unique heads, different weapons, things like that. There's the color ones. You can see the little book there. And that book, I believe, is if I recall, let me look. I think yes, I think the book that you see here that my mouse is hovering over, this is the book that it seems that this key bad guy comes across. Um, yeah, he seems to come across at the last page of the graphic novel.
Yeah.
So this little piece here seems to be a pretty important piece of the Crucible. And then there's all these add-ons, right? So you have these attachments, bull whips. You've got these skulls that hang off the belts, trophies. You got some chains and handcuffs, some scrolls.
Rolls. Yeah.
They added some additional alternative heads. Um, you'll like this right here. Ed is the 4-time sword sheath for conclusive Imperial Sentry belt. So some additional sheaths to put the swords on for that conclusive figure.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Some additional unlocks here for the
Scabbards
bare
and chin
forearms.
guards. Yeah.
Yep. And then you get another head here. So Como alternative head.
Oh, that does look like a dragon or a dinosaur for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you got another one here. So the bare forearms and shins.
Yeah.
You get the Royal Guard bare arm 4 shins, whatever that is. You get some additional Royal Guard sheaths. I don't know what all this means. Just seems like you get more stuff.
Yeah.
You get the water bladder here. So this is some extra little accessories, a potion, head hooks, which I thought was really cool. So
That is
now
awesome.
all those extra heads you have, you can now strap onto them in some way, right? And you can pop those heads onto it like they're carrying those things around. So when you run out of storage in your Hexastack 3-inch stands to store those accessories, you can put on this and display them too. You got the grappling hook accessory. I already highlighted the STL file to print out the
throne,
Abysmal
yeah.
throne, which is just so freaking cool. And then you got Jaeger's alternative head without the hood over it.
Oh, that's definitely an orc Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Then you've got the mugs or Krug, I guess, right? Or no, this is the mug. And then you've got the horn here. Then you got some navigator kit accessory piece. And then you have the open Paranoid character pack. So it's that book that I mentioned, but now it's open and there's some text in there. And what I mean by text is you got to take out your little decoder coin and figure out what that says. And then you got some additional stretch goals, forearms, things like that. Yeah. And then you can see here, you can see all the articulation points for the basic figures and stuff and what they entail. They had a bunch of videos on here to see the different figures early on through the phase and whatnot. So their packaging is cool. And again, you pointed out earlier at the the coin, the marketing, that way to like kind of pull people in almost like a I don't know what you would call it, but like an alternative marketing method, right?
Yeah.
And how they did it was cool. Their packaging is also going to be like that. They actually showed off, I think, some final sampling of the packaging on the show last week, which was really cool. And what they kept pointing out is look in the background. You got to look at maps, look at things in the background. There might be little hints and things like that. So I feel like they're doing this really cool kind of like
Well,
dig
yeah,
and
it's like
find
it's
out.
all like treasure hunting, right? I mean, like you got the
Exactly. That's it.
decoder,
Perfect.
you got
Yep.
maps and stuff, right? It's like going on your own
Exactly.
adventure. It's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like dig how deep you want
Right.
and find out things. And like
So
you
they're
can
actually
really
like
start to get in
building
there.
a role playing adventure game within the actual marketing of the figure line.
Exactly. Yeah. Really
Something
cool.
cool.
Really
Cool.
cool approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm just going to go over to another page real quick. I'm going to look at something because there's this concept art that they've shown here. So on their page, they have this works in progress, some early concept art. So you can see like some of the stuff that they were looking at doing. Some of this may come to fruition. Some of it already has. It may come along. They've been very much about the dwarves. So you can see that they have some concept art for dwarves. You got that Harbinger of the Abyss looking concept stuff. Got a goat man or something,
Oh, that's Satan, dude.
I am sharing this, right? You guys are seeing
Yeah,
that?
yep. We're seeing it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We got some other body types, some scaled up body types, some additional swords and stuff
The
like
crazy
concept.
thing is that once wave 1 hits, right, and whatever they decide to do for wave 2, whether it's a pre-order or another Kickstarter or whatever, right, the way these things are looking, people are going to go nuts for them.
Yeah.
So
I
wave two
believe.
is probably going to double what wave 1 did.
Oh, yeah. I think so. I think you're gonna have a situation where those, especially knowing that they will not be doing re-releases,
Yeah.
and this isn't, and it's not a slam on anybody who re-releases things, right? But we saw it with Action Force, right? A number of the figures that they did in Wave 1 that people didn't catch on to until after Wave 2 and 3 were out. They came out with their supplemental series and stuff. Savage Crucible Group has said that they didn't say they're not doing what they did, but they've said that they're not re-releasing things.
Right.
So there's going to be people who are going to come into the line. Wave 2, after seeing Wave 1, they're only going to be able to pick up a piece or two from that Wave 1, and they're going to be like, man, I don't want to miss another one. And then Wave 2 is going to sell out, and Wave 3 is going to pre-sell out. I assume if the product comes out, everybody's happy with it, and the reviews are good. I can't imagine people not once they catch wind of it, not jumping in hard.
Right.
Yeah. So
this is one of those dangerous lines because it looks like it could be massive, which means it could be really expensive, like Mythic Legions is, right?
Well, yeah. The cool thing is that they didn't talk about that in that same sense, but they alluded to the fact that they may not go the route of doing a traditional 6-figure series. They may do waves that are just and he didn't commit to this, but he kind of alluded to the potential that maybe there's a wave that's only 2 or 3 characters. One, to keep the cost down, to keep the tooling down and things like that, because to get all the tooling done for 6 figures at once adds to the time to get that ready, right? Where if you're only doing 3, maybe you can do a 3-figure wave. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, but it sounds like they're open to.
That's one of the things that I have that I get frustrated with collecting Mythic Legions, right? And not that there's not a ton of characters that I could go out and buy and find and whatever else, right? But you pre-order the new wave, the last pre-order ended in January, right? And it's probably going to be late first quarter of 2025 by the time you actually see those figures.
Yep.
Right. So you're talking over a year. I'd rather see like Savage Crucible saying that kind of thing, right? We're going to have a 3-figure, 4-figure release every few months. Right now, is it expensive? Fuck yeah, it's expensive. But
right,
if you're not buying all of them, then it's not that expensive, right? You're just waiting for that 1 or 2 figures.
Yep. And you see some of this stuff that's just kind of scrolling across the screen, man.
What's up, Jim? Yeah,
you got your little wolf. You got wolf here,
shapeshifter. Badass right there.
I mean, this is all concept art. There's no confirmation on exactly what ones will be made, but it lets you know the mindset of where they want to go with this stuff, right?
Well, that's what I mean. You look at all the characters they just have designed that fit right into the whole thing. I mean, this line could be gigantic, be going on for years.
And the other thing they talked about, I don't know if they showed it or not, but they alluded to on the show having trying to do deco for some of these characters to align with different cultural things, like an Aztec approach, things like that for things. So you might see some Lemurians with like Aztec armor and things like that. So it's really cool. Like I think this one, like, you know, things like that, where, you know, they want to introduce things that are culturally aligned with
Yeah.
different areas to kind of do that. They've also, you know, made note that you're going to see characters of different humans with different race, right? So
Right.
that it's spread across it and you know is inclusive of many. So there's some really cool stuff. A lot of cool art sketches on here. You know,
Oh,
like
that
what
dude's
they could.
badass right there. Yeah.
This one right here, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like the barbarian wolf. You got, you know, all this different stuff, right? Like they got some really cool concept stuff. So if you're ever looking for, if you got nothing to do and you just kind of want to you know,
Look at
see
some
what's
art.
out there. This right here would make sense to you if you guys read the comic. This would right here. I referenced it earlier, so check that out because the Battle Dane is someone I think that'll tie in. But like, you know, you've got demons, you got the mount, you know, different characters. So some really cool. You got like Viking barbarian looking things, right? Like these are ones I want right here. These guys.
Yeah, those guys are awesome. Yeah.
So, and if you look at the world map, see that's why, like, see that right there? Like, different character. Oh, man. The Great Minion of the Abyss, Sharkoid. Oh, I want that guy right there. Like,
oh, yeah, dude. That's awesome.
There is so much potential here. This is, I think, one that they're really interested in, this Goat Man type thing, because they talked about that a lot on the stream. Oh, he raises Great Danes in real life. Oh, that is so cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah, you got a bunch of guys. They talk about Forge, so I'm assuming that has something to do with the connection to the world and that. I mean, they have all sorts of things in there. Some female characters. That right there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Look at that fucker.
Exactly.
That's kind of like He-Man-esque
Yeah.
type thing you'd see, right?
Yeah. With a
Riding like some
style.
mechanical animal thing.
Yep. Could you get a serpent right here, right?
Hey, was that a gator? The one before that?
Kind of ish.
Kind of
Not completely.
gatorish. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely in that reptilian world. Different things for those. And this right here, you can see this is what they end up starting to come with, right? Some of this stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Wolf.
This
line
is gonna fucking take your wallet and destroy it, dude.
If it already hasn't.
Yeah. Worse than it already has. How's that?
Exactly. I mean, you got all these elemental looking characters, and then dwarfs. They talk about the dwarfs a lot. They really talked about a lot of that on their halflings on that stream. So there's a ton of stuff, man. Like lizard head concept. So like, you know, lots and lots of concept art on here. Really cool to see. So you have that, and then if you're looking, you can come in here and there's a lore, and that's all they give you. Go read. So that's
awesome.
That's Savage Crucible, man, and like it's a really like, dude, I'm so pumped. It's I don't want to say it's something I can make my own, but it's like I get to be in, like I get like I'm so happy I backed it. I'm so happy I came across it. It like
you might if they keep growing as fast as they are, you might have to sell off all your other lines, dude.
Yeah. See you later, Joy Toy. See you later, Classified.
Yeah, buy Mythic, buy Cosmic,
buy WWE Ultimates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be down to AWalk and Savage Crucible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's such a cool line, and
it's awesome, dude. Like I love the design of it from the beginning. I just didn't get in on the backer because I just don't really do Kickstarters.
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me that, but so Largo, I'm not sure if you read it or not, but that's kind of the beginning of the streamer. We talked about what the Kickstarter was a little bit, some of the things behind it, and then I kind of covered what the graphic novel talks about and kind of give you some insight into the world and lore. So if you've read it, be interested to talk to you at some point about some of your theories. Brick, if you're still here, have you read the comic yet?
Keep talking for a minute. I'm going to go fill up my coffee cup.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, hit me up on Instagram. I will talk Savage Crucible all day. It is so cool to me. Beyond just like the the things that Rob and the team hinted towards last week as far as how the figure line is going to work. To me, Savage Crucible is so much more than just a figure line. It's the comic and the lore, which is really cool. Yeah. So Brick, when I was kind of explaining the lore, did I miss anything there, or did I cover kind of the high level? Like, obviously there's still some intricacies to read in there, but I think I covered kind of cover to cover, like the story-ish, so you can get an idea of it. Definitely recommend reading it, though. It was really cool. Yeah, I'm definitely all about that. And every time I talk about it and read it, I'm like, oh, I need to go buy more. I read it. The idea of people from our world being warped or portaled into the Savage Crucible world is an amazing idea. So the fact that he says the portaled idea, Ed, remember when you and I first started talking? What I wanted to do, it was before Savage Crucible was even a thing to me. And it was like, oh, I want to take my AWOCs and I want to take my Joes and my Action Force and I want to use a portal and I want to have them jump through it. And they're all part of this world. And somehow they've been transferred from all different worlds.
We talked about that when we were talking about building our worlds in our comic and the storylines, right? About portaling from one place to another with all of the figure lines meshed together.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, Savage Crucible came out, and I didn't know the lore by any means. I literally only read it last week. And it's exactly like what I kind of wanted to do. So like they've taken the idea that I somehow concocted in my mind. They obviously were way ahead of me. And they've turned it into something that's really cool and exciting for me to geek out to. So it's really, really cool. What's that? Brick? Was it different?
He's talking about the Boss Fight Studios was producing like a sci-fi line a few years ago, or a while ago, actually. Yeah, what Matt say? Like 10 years ago? Yeah,
gotcha.
11 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Gotcha.
And, it never came to fruition.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the perfect time, right? Like collecting got big. I mean,
that was one thing I was thinking about the other day with the thing that you and I have been bouncing around with, like, with different toy lines and stuff. And it's like, there are so many toy lines out there now that encompass so many different genres and design styles that it'd be really tough. Like, and I think that's one thing Savage Crucible is doing right, is coming out with a line that fits into the fantasy genre, but doing a different marketing thing where they're putting, like, building in that game kind of feel to it, right?
Gamification.
Yeah.
Right. They're making you feel part
giving
of
it something to do, so you feel like, yeah, you're part of the story. You can basically do whatever you want with that story, because anybody could transform into that.
Yeah.
Like you could make a photo book story of your own where you take one of your Classified or Veliverse dudes and have him portaled through over to Savage Crucible, and he becomes another human, right?
Yep. Well, I can't wait to have He-Man fight Who-Man. That is like my big battle scene that I'm looking forward to, is He-Man versus Who-Man, see who wins. And Brick, I saw that. I don't know if you said it the other night or if somebody else did or where I heard it, but somebody made that reference that Savage Crucible is essentially Fortnite. Everyone can end up there and you're just battling it out to survive. I'm not a Fortnite guy, so for me, that's kind of like, I hope it's not Fortnite, because Fortnite's just for the easily distracted generation in my eyes, is that they just need something to constantly flip and switch in front of them. They're those same ones that tell me Halo sucks. And I'm like, nah, dude, I grew up playing Halo in my
I think what they're comparing it to, though, is like in Fortnite, right? You just go to a location and you just battle, right? That's
exactly
basically what it's about at this point.
And anyone can be there, right? Like I think Fortnite's had
they have all sorts of
Ninja Turtles
you can download.
Exactly. My son's got Ninja Turtles. He wanted a New York Giants one the other day, and things like that. So I think that's
Snake Eyes was there, and from G.I. Joe and a bunch of other ones. So.
Exactly.
And then you got people with pancake heads and cheeseburger heads.
Exactly.
Banana dude, Peely.
Yep. Absolutely. And
Fortnite is such a weird line, right? When you look at like the figures, because like you have some pretty cool ass looking like human figures, and then you got like Man Cakes, who's basically like uh, an old Western Mexican cowboy with pancake for a head, and you got
Gotcha.
Peely, who's basically a banana running around with guns. It's like
And I don't know any of those characters. I
yeah.
don't touch Fortnite. My
I
my
only
youngest
I
son
only know
plays
it
it.
from looking at the figures in stores and stuff.
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah, see, I even skip over them because I'm like, I don't care. Like, because
yeah,
if I don't have some sort of tie-in or some relationship to the IP and stuff, I
yeah,
tend to stay away from it until someone really puts me onto it, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's cool. Like the Joy Toy stuff, I had to come into that, right? I didn't know
yeah,
the IPs. I guess 40K brought me to Joy Toy, but I wasn't into 40K from the figure collecting,
yeah,
and it was all of these other cool looking things that pulled me in. Acid Rain only because of the fact that it was parallel to could be used with those in size and stuff,
right,
but
right,
if I don't know and it doesn't correlate, it doesn't work. Savage Crucible is that thing that I got pulled into because I was really digging the AWOC stuff, but Savage Crucible was like additionally, more anthropomorphic characters, some human characters I could cross with it.
yeah,
They look like they scale pretty good to the AWOCs. They look like they scale good to the Master of the Universe figures that I got. So, I think of like the Savage Crucible world with the Fortnite aspect. Maybe it is, but to me, like it's definitely deeper than just Fortnite. We got this Harbinger thing and
well, for
this
sure, yeah,
mystical book, and like then part of me is like, I'm still trying to grasp what this light transporting thing is, where Who-Man gets transferred over with his dog to this alternative world, and obviously, just based on how he aged progression in the comic, from what I can see, he's been there for some time. So it puts in my mind some things like Land of the Lost or the TV show Lost. Are they kind of did they die in the real world and somehow they're sent to
yeah.
this
Well,
holding place?
that's the
It's
thing, right?
so
Like if you take Savage Crucible and you take like everything that's in that story, right? You have He-Man thrown in there, you have Lord of the Rings, you have Fortnite, you have Journey to the Center of the Earth, right? I mean, like all these different things throughout history that is, culture that you could compare it to.
right. Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. And we kind of like who does a good job of it is Brick and Adam
Yeah.
over on Highly Articulated when they talk about the
I
AWOC
hate those
stuff.
two guys. They they act all highfalutin and everything, and I just can't.
Those dudes are
Brick's always got
awesome.
that perfect hair, and Adam just has that perfect voice, and it's like, fuck them guys. I can't stand them.
Well, if you watch this past week's, you recognize the Brick thing. It's just genetic between him and you can see it in his brother who was on a stream. Like that's just they both
Oh
are
yeah, yeah,
articulated. Like they're rock stars on. They were made for YouTube,
yeah,
and
yeah,
but they do a great job kind of
yeah,
talking about, especially in the earlier episodes of that show, is they would talk about on that is they would talk about maybe where some of it came from, right? Like, was this pulled from that? Was it pulled from this? Like, did some of the ideas come from something here and whatnot for the lore with the AWOCs, right? Like, so it's really cool with these new IPs, Savage Crucible, the AWOC stuff, where you get this unique world, and it's kind of like I'm old enough to know about it, like. Granted, when I was a kid, there was TV shows and stuff that I got into, cartoons, things like that. I got into it, but it was already established to some degree. Like these things, they're fresh and new. I can get in from the ground and I can
yeah,
follow it. It's something of my own is kind of
yeah,
how I look at it, right?
yeah.
And really, really cool with the figures. I'm really happy with them all. I'm looking forward to this. I'm gonna be pumped come May ish. Well, now, Brick, we know only you are full of shit because Adam's on the in and he just keeps bragging about everything in a
Right.
subtle way to make us completely jealous.
Yeah.
Though the last stream that you guys did, um, you guys shared some stuff with us about that upcoming Kickstarter, which I told Adam, and I actually messaged him the other day. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but I said, "Hey, do you know what time that Kickstarter is going to go live?" Because Adam made reference to trying to be the first one, the first backer. And I said, "Hey, Adam, do you know when that's going to be available?" And then I told him, "I'm not going to lie. I'm asking you this because I'm trying to beat you to backer number one." And he's like, "I was like, will you still tell me?" And he's like, "I'll tell you. Like when we know it's going live and it can be announced, we'll share it, right? Like if and when it comes announced." So
You and you're having to be first. You're such a child.
because if you're not first,
You're last.
you're last.
That's right.
Second is the first loser.
That's right.
So I'm going for number one.
So
But
that's
yeah,
we're gonna start our own Tuesday night TV show now that Luke's pretty much gonna be done, and we'll call it Shake and Bake.
shake and bake.
Yeah.
What's that?
Where did you hear fucking If You're Not First, You're Last from?
I
Talladega
don't know.
Nights?
Oh, I
Oh
never
my
seen that movie. I never
oh
saw that
my
movie.
god, dude.
I've never
That's
seen
where
it.
that's where that line got famous from.
I'm sure I heard it in pro wrestling hundreds of times before that. Most
Uh,
of the phrases I say would come
I
from
mean,
pro wrestling.
it's definitely been around for a long time, but it got really
Yeah.
popular from that movie. And in the movie, the two buddies that were race car drivers together, they called themselves Shake and Bake.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Is
Oh,
that with Will Ferrell?
yeah. I know you
So
don't like Will
again,
Ferrell.
no. I love Will Ferrell now. I hated him
Right,
until I saw him in The Other Guys. When I saw him
right.
in The Other Guys, I've gone back and watched a lot of his stuff. He was in The Office. He was, Elf, things like that. So here
Ricky
we go,
Bobby
old
School
man.
of Collecting. So you got to watch Talladega Nights. You'll appreciate that
Okay,
one.
I'll check it out. I've not caught that one yet.
Yeah.
So first, I got to catch up on Beastmasters. I guess there's a movie.
Yes. I love Shake and Bake.
See. I thought that's what you're referencing. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I had that on Pork Chops when I was a kid. We were on that lower. My mom didn't have the.
Oh shit, dude! There ain't no lower
My
nothing
mom,
about Shake and Bake,
my
man.
mom wasn't good at making things
Oh, your
that were
mom
like
wasn't a
flavored.
chef.
She wasn't a chef, so a
Yeah,
quick and easy was grabbing a Ziploc bag, throwing
yeah.
some shake and bake and some pork chops in there,
They now
and then
have
you
a
ate that.
Shake and Bake that's Parmesan flavored.
Oh,
Oh my god!
that would be good on like some pork.
You put
Like
that
take
on
like
some
a.
fucking chicken or pork, dude. Amazing.
I bet you that'd be really good on like a stuffed pork tenderloin I get from the
Oh yeah,
butcher around the corner.
yeah.
Throw some of that on there, put it right in the oven. Oh man, maybe I'll be cooking
On
tomorrow.
Shake and Bake, my favorite thing, man. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I mean that's my piece. I know you Ed had me on, and I threw out the. I will watch the first movie. I will watch the movie first. Brick. I'll make sure I go pull it up on Plex tonight and start it off when I'm laying down to go to sleep. Um. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ed, I know you
So
invited me on, and that
yeah,
was my suggestion was Savage Crucible because
yep.
it's been like the thing that's like
Yeah. I'm
kicking
glad you
around up
got a
here the
chance to talk
last
about
couple
it,
weeks.
brother. Like I said,
Yeah,
I don't
thank
ever
you.
plan my show, so it's all good, man.
Cool. Good deal.
But yeah, the Beastmaster, the movie. I watched the show, but the movies, there's like, I think there's 3 Beastmaster movies, and of course, the first one is good, and the other 2 are like typical science fiction fantasy sequels from the 80s that are like, let's see if we can get any more money out of this, and squeeze
Okay.
that, fruit a little more and just see if we can get any money to dribble out. And it never works, so
Gotcha. It's Beastmaster, right?
yeah, it's just Beastmaster.
Let's see the show. 1982, The Beastmaster. Is that the
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Okay.
It's got a guy that looks like He-Man on the front.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
Yep.
I got it. I'm gonna
Yep.
pull it up and I'm gonna put it in my playlist tonight. I'm gonna watch it on Plex. We good to go. Mark Singer and
Yep,
Tanya
Mark Singer.
Roberts.
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good movie.
it's got John Amos in it. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. I know some of these people. Cool. Yeah, it's only a 2-hour movie, but
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. I'm looking forward to it. And as I pull up my Plex, I realize you can tell that I'm very much in my Savage Crucible mindset because the last thing I played on my Plex was Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, season 1, episode 4. So I'm fully committed to this Savage Crucible stuff. Very much interested in it. Anything that could relate in any parallel concept.
I love the algorithms that like the streaming services and YouTube and Instagram uses and all that, right? But it's like I watched one video of something the other night on YouTube, and now it's like just pounding me full of like these restoration videos of old vintage toys and
Oh yeah,
vintage machines and all sorts of stuff, right? I'm like,
yep.
I just wanted to watch the one, okay? That was all I was doing.
Yep.
It was like I saw it. I was like, I had that as a kid. Let me watch this, and now it's like, flooded my YouTube.
Yeah, my son watches on YouTube. My son watches Kid City or something like that. They
Yeah.
talk wrestling, they do games, things like that, toys. It's like a dad and a son a lot of
Yeah.
time. I'm sure he likes it. I mean, I don't watch it that often, but I'll see him watch it.
Yeah.
He must have been watching the YouTube on the TV, must have been set to my account. So I'll
Yeah.
go log into my stuff. And, after one of the streams ends, when I'm listening to you guys or one of the other streams and I'm working in the basement, it'll be on my TV. And all of a sudden something will kick on and it goes to Kid City. Oh man,
Right.
what is my son doing? And then it just keeps feeding me those.
Yeah, my
And
TV in my living room when my oldest daughter was living with me about a year and a half ago. She likes to watch like a bunch of makeup shows and it was like Jeffree Star, right? And
okay.
so he's like I don't know if he considered himself a cross dresser or a transgender person, but he's a guy that has like his own makeup brand. And
Okay.
so I'd come home after working all day and turn on the YouTube to watch, a toy channel or something like that. And it's like loaded with all these makeup tutorials and shit. I'm like,
and then Ed's like, here he's like,
yeah. Next thing I know, I'm in the bathroom putting on makeup.
Twisted Sister, right?
Yeah. Going Twisted
Rocking
Sister,
out.
Kiss style. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And oh man, sorry, I'm just scrolling through the map art that they have on.
Oh, do they have cool map art? Bring it up if you can.
Oh yeah, they do. So this is
I love
I
looking
didn't
at
I didn't want to
fucking
share too
fantasy
much from
maps.
the
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
don't
want
have to go through
to share
everything,
too much in the graphic novel, right? Because of the fact that it's I want them to make their money off of it.
yeah.
But they have some of this map art in there in the graphic novel on the
So
cover and the
cool. I
inserts and
love
stuff. So
fucking man. That was one of my favorite things about Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit
Lord
and
of the
stuff.
Rings, the Wheel of
Tolkien
Time,
always in his novels always included maps in there.
the Wheel of Time used to do the same, so you can kind
Yeah.
of understand the world around you, which I thought was cool. Yeah, so you can see they have a bunch of different world areas. I don't know much about it, but this is.
That was the other thing you and I bounced around before I even saw this was making maps of the
Yeah,
realms.
yep, that's exactly what it was. I was creating a map for my own world where that they were all going to be, living and fighting and whatnot. Yeah, so they have a bunch of them here. And then they have this, which I'm sure is going to be interesting, some tree of something. I'm not good at reading or pronouncing. And then they have this, which I'm assuming has something to do with the abyss.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of this stuff that's just taken from regular lore, like that tree is probably based off the tree of life from like the Nordic.
Oh yeah.
Norse mythology.
Yep. Pre-sale for Wave 2 will not open until after Wave 1 is delivered. Well, you have multiple waves outstanding, having 3 waves in Kickstarter. In the future, we do not want to have more than 2 waves outstanding at any one time. Lead time is crucial for maintaining a steady release schedule. We do not want to hold anyone's money for more than 12 months. That right there,
yeah,
that's awesome. From a consumer standpoint, that's what you want it about.
Yep. Absolutely, dude.
Really, Matthew, I've not read the Sanderson books. I got into the Wheel of Time early on. Probably I think it was like 2003. So there was already quite a few books already out. And then I stopped reading for a little while. I got the audiobooks and listened to a bunch of them. And then I think in 2006, I started getting back into them because the job I had, I could just kind of audiobook and work. And then
were the Sanderson books first or at the end of
No, thereafter. So Jordan, I think it was Robert Jordan, is if I remember his name correctly.
Yeah.
He was the originator of the Wheel of Time, which is a great series.
Yeah.
He served military, things like that, I think, and very much like of all the I haven't read too many fantasy books, but of all the books that I've ever read, the person that was the most creative and kind of along the lines of Tolkien was him. And in my experience,
right.
Again, I don't have a breadth of knowledge as others do in those different fantasy books, but he very much so I felt comfortable jumping into with because of it. And he did a really good job, but he got some weird illness. It was really weird because I was like started to follow him and stuff, and then I came across his like webpage, and that's what he was blogging about is his kind of deterioration and his. And then I logged in after a couple months of not checking in, and I saw like an alert from his wife that he had passed away, and then his scribe or his peer, I don't know what Sanderson would be considered, he stepped in to help finish one book and then he added a couple more that were stuff that I believe Jordan had already kind of noted out the creative process. Yeah, and willed Sanderson the finish to his story. So Sanderson was a World of Time fan. Yeah, and Sanderson has his own stuff too, completely independent from the Wheel of Time. So yeah, I was trying to find where they announced their approved retailers, but I don't see it. You know what? I think it might be on their Instagram, to be honest.
Probably is, but well, that's easy enough to find.
Yeah, I think it's on their Instagram. So if you go out there, you can see what they have. I'm looking right now myself. I think that's maybe what she said. Nope, that's not true. I was wrong.
Facebook.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't know
do
where it
Facebook, so I
is.
can't help you there.
Yeah, I don't know where they announce it. Yeah, I'm curious. I thought they had a place where they talk about where their approved retailers are, but I don't see it anywhere on the. Yeah, they say that their things there will be very limited quantity available in stock and retail partners, but I don't see retail partners on here. So
Interesting. It's probably there somewhere. Just finding it is always the challenge, right?
yeah, I'm googling some stuff right now on the side here. Well, yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I don't see where the retail partners are listed. I must be missing something. I swear I swear that I think it's Nikki or Nicole or something. She's with them. Um, I think. Oh, stupid me! It's on their Instagram. It's like one of their highlighted stories. Like underneath it, there's a
Oh
SC
yeah,
retailers.
yeah.
So it says that it says in Canada it's E Collectibles, Japan it's Hob Indie Idea, the United States it's Bella Books, Comics and Toys physical location in Virginia, Big Bad Toy Store, Hella Dope Toys, Horseshoe Toys and Collectibles, Legendary Collectibles, Renegade Toys, Top Dog
Is this?
Comics,
I couldn't
Project
find it
Action.
on Hella Dope Toys. I'll have to check again.
Yeah,
I know it
I
was on
haven't
there.
been on. I know
I
it
knew it
was.
was on there, but I can't find it now. So
Yeah, I know at one point it was on. I know they're revamping their page, their stuff right now.
yeah,
If you go, actually, yeah, no. If you go to their site and look up the word Savage, nothing comes up related to Savage Crucible.
yeah.
So maybe
That's what I was
took
getting.
the pre-orders down. Maybe the pre-order window right now, because well, that would make sense, right? Is that maybe their pre-order window fell and is over
Yep.
at this point for wave
Yeah,
one,
it's possible.
and maybe because like Savage is not doing wave two pre-orders yet. Hella Dope and the other retailers can't do the pre-orders either,
Yeah.
which would make sense. Yeah. So definitely my recommendation, go to Hella Dope Toys, get it there if you can when they
Yep.
have it.
Well, that's
And if
right.
they don't have it, just start pinging them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you
We'll
really want to
harass,
hassle them, join them
harass the
on their
shit out of
YouTube show. Yeah, yeah, just harass those pains in the butts on a Sunday night at around 9 p.m. Just start pinging them and asking them
yeah.
where the Savage figures are.
And then I'm gonna get this motherfucker when it comes out, dude.
Oh yeah, you were talking about that when we first got on.
Yeah, I'm so stoked for this, dude. I was a big Mad Max fan to begin with, so then throwing in Mad Max in an anthropomorphic type of character is even
Yeah.
better. And like I said, it's going to fit into that band of pirates I'm building. So,
Oh yeah, no, that looks cool. If you take some of those AWOCs, right, and you
yep,
do some of those grittier dry brushing
yep,
techniques I've seen some folks do to
absolutely.
the to those figures,
Yep.
it kind of toughens them up a little bit. And
Yeah, they just need a good
definitely,
wash. Gives them a
yeah,
little more grit.
yep.
These guys are coming out with some serious stuff, though, dude. Check this out. Can you see that?
I do. I see it. The Lion King,
You got
Octopus,
lion. You
Ghost.
got a wolf or a fox type of thing. You got
Okay.
the octopus dude that's got the Uh,
What is that called?
yep, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I can't think of what it's called, but
Rick,
it's
somebody help us out. What the hell is this mask called? God, the word's like right there in my freaking
Stegosaurus plague
plague
doctor,
plague
plague
doctor.
doctor.
That's what it's
Yeah,
called. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
these guys are
Google.
just so friggin' awesome.
Yep.
And they got I know like Aaron ordered I think he ordered this panda bear from the Panda Brothers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're a pair of brothers. So there's a peaceful dude that's older and then like a young
Okay.
hothead. And it's supposed to represent yin and yang.
Okay.
And then here's like the ones that have already been out, Veteran William and Crocker. And here's
Okay.
another shot of the Mad Monkey from that's Mad Max in monkey form.
Oh, got you. Cool. Yeah, I was just looking. There is a place you can still get some pre-orders in for some Savage Crucible if you're interested. Just go look at their online retailers. I'm not going to promote them just because my alignment and alliance
Yeah.
to certain brands, but I can tell you there are some out there that are still taking pre-orders, just $5 deposits, but the price for like the slate is $27.99.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But that's
just so
it,
you're
right?
aware.
No
And then
matter what you do, Kickstarters are
if you
always going to have better
want one of
prices,
the
right? If you want to
yep,
do best prices, you got to go Kickstarter or
yeah.
Mythic Legion's pre-order, which is basically essentially a Kickstarter.
Damn, I want to get some more freaking slates, but I also don't want to pay that full price now. Do I really need them though? That's the question. I gotta
How many
check and see
slates
what
did
my
you
order
order?
comes with. That's what I'm going to check right now. What did I? My
Yeah, I
reward.
mean,
My
if you got a
reward.
bunch ordered, do you really need them? I mean, you're better
I
off
don't
waiting
know.
and saving it for something else, right?
Yeah, probably. There's an AWOC Kickstarter coming up soon.
Right.
So it's hard to tell what I got. So I got
Well,
a
you know, it's easy when you Kickstarter like 3 figures or 8 figures and not like 2 of the whole entire fucking thing.
So I did the all-in wave 1, 2, and 3, and that comes with 25 things, right? That comes with one of everything. It comes with all of the things, and then they add the
Rick
optional
says give them
add-ons.
to him.
So I have the optional add-ons, and it looks like I have another Nashorn disinherited wave too. I
Yeah.
didn't even know I got that one. I think maybe. Oh no, that's just the options. Maybe. Here's my pledge information. Okay, so I got all ins, and then I got the silver decoder. I got the dwarf coin set. I got another conclusive Imperial Century Wave 1. So I got an extra one of him standalone, which is well, that's a cool one. He comes
Hey,
with like 4 swords and stuff.
hey,
Yeah, so I got
Travis.
that one. Yeah.
When you have to look up a list of what you actually bought, that means you have a problem. So
No, I
let's
haven't
have a
accepted it.
conversation.
The problem doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist until you acknowledge that it's a problem,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I got the so yes. So I got the hard copy graphic novel Savage Crucible. I have a separate one-off of the Lemurian Savage. Not sure why I did that one and why I didn't just go with another slate one, but I went with another Savage one.
Which one is
I
the
got
Savage?
so that's the first like it's the $25 one that had
Oh,
just
okay.
like the simple paint app and
Yeah,
stuff.
simple paint apps and
Like it's not the grayish washed
yeah,
just one paint.
yep,
It's the paint with a little additional paint detail.
yeah,
Then I also got a second Who-Man. Not sure why, but I had to have another Who-Man. Then I also did a complete additional Wave 1 add-on, which came with all of what Wave 1 comes with. So I've got 2
yeah.
complete sets of Wave 1. So I'm gonna have a shit ton of lizards. And then I also have I have a third Lemurian Savage, and then I also have a paranoid Savage Wave 3. So I guess I just didn't understand what the
Rick
slates.
agrees with me about your issue.
What issue?
Yeah, exactly. What issue?
I don't know what you're talking about. I was back in number 1503, by the way. So yeah, I'm pumped. That is going to be awesome. Yeah, so that's what I got. I'm just like, I honestly, when I was backing it, I must not have realized enough. There was so much going on. I was getting so deep into AWOC, and I was like, oh, I just need to get in on this. I need to get what I want, because I obviously didn't realize the difference so much in the slates versus the savages. I should have
Well, the
went.
slates are what, $15, and the Savage are 25 for a little extra
Yeah.
paint and a couple extra. I think they have a couple extra accessories too, right?
Yeah, but I bought 2 extra standalone Savage figures from different waves, and I could have essentially bought 3 or 4 slates
right,
for
yeah.
roughly the same price if I had recognized it. But I guess my mindset, I was looking at those slates, and I think I kept getting stuck and hung up on the gray digital render, thinking that they were just going to be these gray ones you have to fully paint on your own. No, I don't have a problem. Don't talk to me like that, Brick.
Well, at least he's acknowledging that he has a problem. That's the first step to, getting better.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to try to get some of the whatever they have available at Hella Dope if possible, or if I have to go to the other guys, I'll go to the other guys. But I want to get at least one of the lizards and one of their human characters for sure.
Yeah, I'll be holding on to some, leaving them in box and waiting until the price jumps through the roof, and then reselling them for 4, 5, 6. I got to recoup this initial Kickstarter funding.
Yeah, you do.
No,
you'll be able to sell a couple and fund your wave 2 with no problem.
Well, honestly, I will likely leave the secondary wave 1 in box, and I'll hold that. The only reason I'll hold it is because I anticipate there will be convention exclusives for either Savage or AWOCs that I have a difficulty getting my hands on. So if I can do a swap to something, using it to barter, not to scalp anybody, but just to hold them aside for
scalp them. You're
no,
not to get on this Kickstarter. Fuck you.
No, I don't. I'm not looking to do that, man. That's not me. I'm more about, if I
$500 sold.
If I can do a swap for it and get something on that, then we'll be good. But I mean, again, I may hold on to them.
You're only considered a scalper if you intentionally buy it with the thought process that you're going to upsell it later on. Did you do that?
No, I bought it with the intentions to hold it to do as a swappable.
Right. So there you go. You're not a scalper. See that? So you can sell it for whatever you can get out of it, man.
And I do have a second conclusive coming too. So, and I have 2 humans coming. So actually I'll have 3 conclusives, which just looks awesome. So we'll see. I'll have 3 conclusives, one of which I will definitely open. And then I'll have 2 humans, one that I'll open and one that'll be boxed. Plus I'll have all of the additional wave 1. And we'll see if I even want to keep the Paranoids. We'll see what happens.
Right.
I mean, they're cool. I definitely want my Harbinger of the Abyss, but
depending on how far I go with this crazy team I'm looking to build, a Paranoid might be actually perfect.
Come with. Follow me into the deep dark. Oh, I have Galactus. If you're talking about the HasLabs, every HasLab that's been made, my son has either backed on his own, or he doesn't know that I've backed one for him recently. So,
such a good dad, Travis.
I already got it, man. Like the Galactus. No, my son did it. My son was backing. My son was like 14 or something when those came out. He was working. I started a lawn care business with him, and he was making a ton of money doing lawn care on the weekends with me. And then he went into working in a barbershop, and he's been doing that ever since. So he bought the Galactus. He bought the Sentinel. So yeah, he backed all those HasLabs on his own before I had even considered. I didn't even know what a HasLab was when he came to me. I didn't buy it for him, Brick. He did it for himself. That is a full on him.
Except for the one you just said you bought for him that he didn't know about.
Well, he's 20 now. He's not really, actively engaged. So what was the newest one? Oh, it was the Giant Man.
Is it all Marvel Legends? Is that was his thing?
He's a Legends kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was into the Marvel Legends. So when I say he's got the HasLabs, he was all about the Marvel Legends.
Yeah. That Giant Man, they just showed a head on their stream the other day for Marvel Legends. It looked pretty good.
I saw a screen cap. I didn't
Yeah.
see the stream.
They said the teeth are going to get fixed because they're too pearly white, but
Okay.
they were really just showing off the eyes and how shiny they are and stuff. So
Gotcha. That hit all the stretch goals, right? Or no?
I don't think it did.
Okay. Okay. I don't remember what it did.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't think it hit all of them.
I know there was some stuff that like headpieces and stuff. Oh no, you're right. It didn't come with the. It came with the zombie faceplate, I think. Did it hit the zombie faceplate? Yeah, it hit the zombie faceplate.
It
came
the
short
head, right?
It didn't hit the scroll head. Yeah.
Yeah. Which
So,
that was kind of a dumb.
I would have rather had the other one. I would have rather to me, I would have rather had the scroll one than the zombie one.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
The zombie
like
one is just a faceplate, and the scroll head is a whole head. So
yeah, I didn't like how on the thing they tried to tell you that you needed to army build Ant-Man or Giant Man. I thought that was kind of cheesy. Hey, take it easy, Brick.
Have a good night, Brick. Thanks for popping in. Hope you feel better, brother.
Yeah. Let's talk Savage.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Next time we talk Savage, we'll definitely invite you, and hopefully you're feeling up to it.
For sure. Yeah. So, we'll see. One thing I saw from from that HasLab stream or the Hasbro stream, which where is it? Hasbro. They just did their I think they might have done the pre-order for it. I don't think it was an exclusive, but
talk about Kazar.
Is that what it was? I don't know. I don't know the characters that well. I'm not good with names.
Kazar and Sabu. The Sabu is the saber-tooth tiger to build the figure, and then Kazar is the guy. Yeah.
Yep. They just
announced
Kazar
of the Savage Lands.
Yep. That is a series. That is a wave that I will probably pick up from Helidope.
Yeah.
If they have it, I'm assuming.
So, there's some cool figures in that. I was a huge Kazar fan.
Okay.
Back when I think it was Toy Biz did a run where they had like Kazar with Sabu, and then they had like 3 other characters.
I don't know if that was Toy Biz. I think it might have been early time Hasbro, because I saw on Facebook some people were sharing pictures, and they're like 20 years or 18 years since the last release in 2008 or whatever.
Yeah. Yep,
and they did a comparison. It's definitely an upgrade. Like they definitely did a good job.
Yeah, well, that was only like maybe 5-inch tall too.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Yeah, I saw the pictures the other day.
Sabretooth definitely. I don't know if I like this one or the way it looked better, but this one definitely has more articulation. So
this one looks way better. It definitely looks better because they did a side.
I'm just going off of memory because I can't remember what it looks like.
Yeah, I saw.
I love that. I love that Sabretooth back in the day, but I was customizing a lot of figures into like fantasy type figures. So,
what did you send me, Ed? Holy cow!
I figured you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I see what she did there. I watch her sometimes. The Nerd Forge. She's interesting.
Yeah,
she does some really cool.
She took
stuff.
all those books from Wheel of Time and put them into one book. Isn't that awesome?
That is cool. Yeah, good deal. Cool. Yeah, that's what I got this week, man.
Me too, man. Me too. So, possibly we'll do a show next week if you're up to it. I don't know if it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday, but we could do a show next week.
What's next week? Next week is 26th, 27th, 28th. Yes, I should be available to help you out next week. The following week I'll be in Massachusetts for work. So, or not Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. I don't know why I said Massachusetts. I'll be in Pennsylvania the following week, so I will not be available the first week.
Where are you going?
Harrisburg. Harrisburg, I think that's where it is. Yeah, I got some work stuff I got to take care of down there.
Nice.
Got some meetings.
Yeah.
9 to 5's keeping me busy. I was actually checking in one of the toy networks we're a part of and asked if anybody was if anybody was in that area, I don't think anybody from the area was there.
No.
Yeah, Harrisburg, PA. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna be.
I've been there. It's a nice little town.
Okay. Yeah, I've never been there. I don't know anything about it. I'm
I mean,
flying
it's
out.
been a while since I've been there, but it was when I was back there.
Gotcha.
Are you driving down?
No, I'm flying.
Are you
flying right out of Albany into?
Yeah.
I think I got to fly from Albany to North Carolina and then back up to Harrisburg. But
Yeah.
It'll just be easier for me to fly than
Anywhere
to
you
drive.
fly out of New York, unless you're flying out of New York City, you fly somewhere else and then go to your destination.
You fly to North Carolina or you fly to Detroit or
Chicago.
Chicago. Yep. Chicago, Detroit, or Carolina is where I always end up.
Baltimore's another good stop too if you're going south.
Yep. I've never stopped there. Occasionally, when I've gone to Texas, I've had to fly from. Or actually, I guess when I've gone to Texas and Arizona for work, I've hit Philly before too.
Yeah, several times. I went down to Georgia for work and to Las Vegas. And Vegas, we always stopped in Chicago. And Georgia, we'd either on the way down or the way back, we hit Baltimore. And then the opposite way, we always hit Florida and then flew back up to Atlanta. It was you don't go anywhere.
It never makes
go anywhere
sense
directly out of Buffalo or Albany.
Right.
So
yeah, it never makes sense to me at all. So
I know so many people that actually drive to Toronto to fly out of Buffalo to go, like, especially when you're going overseas and shit, because even if you're not going overseas, because I had a friend that went to Mexico and drove to Toronto and then flew down to Mexico from there because it was cheaper and more direct.
My brother's gone towards Plattsburgh, and he's gone up to Plattsburgh to catch flights down to like South Carolina and stuff in the past. A little bit cheaper,
when I lived in Texas, I used to fly out of. I have relatives that live in Berea, which is just outside Cleveland, and it was like it's my mom's cousin, so like they were really close growing up, and so she'd drive me down there, stay with her. I'd fly out of Cleveland because it was a direct flight and half the price to fly out of Cleveland as it was to fly out of Buffalo. It was like,
yeah, it's crazy. Like a buddy of mine always tells me I should drive down to JFK and fly out of there. Yeah, that playlist is gonna be the best playlist on Largo's layer.
I just had the best playlist on Largo's layer, so you're
right.
You're late to the game,
right.
pal.
No, Ed, you're 100% right. The key word is you had the greatest playlist.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're gonna come and take my championship belt.
I'm gonna super kick you through the barbershop window on my way to getting it. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely, brother. No, yeah. I sent over it was actually during your stream that I wrote because Largo's like, hey, when you and Largo were doing it and I was listening along, Largo posted something in the chat saying, hey, get your lists over to me and send them to me. And I real quick.
I'll let you have, I'll go for the Intercontinental Most Eclectic belt. How's that? Because,
oh man, I respect that. But I mean, this is only episode 1. There's like,
but
then some. I mean, I can go all day. There's genres of this. I can go.
I got my AEW entrance music playlist.
Yep.
I got my WWF, my WCW.
Yeah. I didn't even think of WCW. ECW. I can do it in 5-year chunks. I can do it in Attitude Era versus classic. I can go all the way back.
Some of those wrestlers that were in there long enough, like Hogan, you could probably do a list just on them.
Yeah, my brother actually texted me today a Hogan reference. He sent me a message and said Terry Bella or whatever his name is, his real name has been asked who he would put on his Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and he was quoted as saying Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Terry Bella, whatever he was known at before he became Hulk, and then his final one was Mr. Patriot or whatever, the Mass Patriot. It was like 4 characters that he had been in every one of them. And I was like, man, what a guy.
Well, no one ever claimed for him to be humble. So
no, yeah. Well, Iron Sheik said he was going to humble him a few times. He just never got around to it.
Yeah. like the character he played when he played Thunder Lips was like Hulk Hogan, you know, as himself.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Not many
Good
people
deal.
like him. I actually met Greg the Hammer Valentine and
Okay.
talked to him for a little while, and he had no kind words for Hogan at all.
Yeah, I didn't. So even though I wrestled with a lot of people who were on the independents who then
Yeah.
made it into the, because I was young,
Yep.
they made it into the actual shows over time. So, I had met a lot of guys, and some of the trainers that I worked with had wrestled on dark shows, dark matches, things like that with some of the
Yeah.
more senior guys, but none of them were so close to guys like the Hogans and
Yeah.
whatnot. I mean, probably the closest would have been King Kong Bundy, and my experience with him was in a locker room. He was really friendly and nice. He
Yeah.
blew up a toilet and made the locker room really, really nasty.
Yeah.
And then there was
I
a
can't
Royal
imagine
Rumble.
that.
Right. And then there was a Royal Rumble. I got to jump and attack him on his back. Right.
Yeah.
And then it was okay, you're going over. And then he threw me over. Or well, he didn't throw me over, but he tossed me and somebody else tossed me over. So
Yeah. Because I got to talking to Valentine about how, like, back in the day, he was one of my favorite heels, you know, him and Big John Studd. You know, I used to like
Okay.
those two guys. And
Yep.
then he started telling me, he's like, well, who are your favorite, good guys, right? And I was like,
Right.
yeah, I was kind of a fan of like Tito Santana and, you know, a couple of the other
Okay.
not so popular guys. I like some of the popular guys like Junkyard Dog and stuff, right?
Yep.
But he's like, what about Hogan? I was like, yeah, I never really cared for Hogan. You know, I said my cousin was a big Hogan fan. He's like, that's good. That guy was an asshole and all this. Then he just went on this like 10-minute tirade, right, with me about how much Hogan was a dipshit,
Yeah, I think everybody kind of
non-talented hack, and all this other stuff. It's like,
Well,
fuck.
now he's been showing up on so many YouTube shows with a bunch of different folks, and he's just telling lies.
Mhm.
Like, people are like calling him out. Like, you got a bunch of other people that go on these other shows and they're like, did you see him last week on this show? And he talked about this, and they're like, yeah, that's so untrue. And like he suggests things that like, oh, I was gonna do this, and this was my idea, and we were gonna do this, and then they're like, no, that was never even in the cards. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
So now like it's a big running joke.
I was supposed to win, but I started realizing that the fans are really behind him, so I just laid down on purpose. It's like,
right, I was gonna let him win. They didn't want to, they didn't want to put him over. It's like, nah, dude, you didn't want to. You're an egomaniac that protected your own.
Yep.
And it sometimes it probably made sense, and then there was other times it didn't. And a prime example is one of the greatest in the history of pro wrestling, Shawn Michaels, and him wrestled in the mid 2000s at some point in WWF. And Shawn was so aggravated because Hoke refused to lay down and take the pin that Shawn Michaels literally, and Shawn's always been really good at like taking a beating and making it look really cool. He went so extreme that he was flopping all over the ring to embarrass Hogan. So it was about embarrassing Hogan out there. It's like, okay, you want to send me in the ropes? I will flip over the ropes so unrealistically this looks like it's something out of a stunt show. And so I mean, that you've got one of the greatest wrestlers in the world that's ever done it, and you have him going against Hogan, and because Hogan's such a stooge, he's like, well, I'll just make you look like a fool.
Yep, it's all the name, unfortunately.
Yep. Exactly. So
good deal. There's a lot of wrestlers that made it big that had no talent at all, and
oh yeah. I mean, if it was just based on talent, you wouldn't even know me right now, other than the guy on TV, because damn, there wasn't one better. These are facts. These aren't feelings.
So
it's a good deal.
Roddy Piper.
Oh, Roddy Piper was awesome, dude.
Roddy Piper.
I don't know if he was one of my favorite heels, because I honestly didn't really know him. Like, so he was a heel when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But like when I was
growing up in that era, right, when he had Piper's Pit and you get all fucking crazy, he was like the coolest thing to watch, right? Because he was like,
That was when I was really young and I didn't watch it as habitually. Like, when I really think about the time, like I watched it before 93, but about 93, 92, whenever WWF Raw started, Monday Night Raw started on USA Network, I mean, I watched the Saturday.
You started in the Attitude Era,
Superstars.
Basically. Yeah.
Oh, it was way before the Attitude Era. Attitude Era wasn't until like 98.
Oh, really? I thought it started a little earlier.
Yeah, Attitude Era doesn't really hit until, and it's not really seen as hitting until 97, 98,
I
at
remember I
about the
watched
time.
wrestling as a kid, right? And then there was like this
Yep,
stretch of time that I didn't watch it at all. And I remember watching Stunning Steve Austin, right, with his long flowing blonde hair and shit like
yep.
that, right?
WCW.
And then all of a sudden, like he comes back and he's like this stone cold dude with a shaved head and like,
Yep.
this badass. And I'm like, that's not the same Steve Austin. And I'm looking, I'm like, it is the same fucking Steve Austin. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. So Stunning was like 94, 95 in WCW, came over in 95, 96 to WWE as the ringmaster, and he became Austin around 95, 96, King of the
Yeah.
Ring, one of the two. I think it was 96-ish. And
Yeah.
then, he grew into, or maybe it was 97, he really flipped on the
It
switch
was
for the Stone
several
Cold.
years. It was quite a few
But
years. So
yeah, he eventually, the Attitude Era, at least from last I had kind of seen it, it's kind of seen as like 98, which
yeah,
was the
probably.
WrestleMania
Yeah,
that
that makes sense, I guess.
Shawn Michaels lost to Stone Cold, and Stone Cold won the title, and then it was the Attitude Era. They changed
Yeah.
the belt, everything kind of signified the crossing of
Yeah.
that guard, the passing of the torch type of thing. The I can't remember what they call it. What they call that time where it was really Brett and Shawn kind of leading the way when
Yeah.
Hogan shifted out and Hogan went to WCW and kind of was out of the
Yeah. They didn't
picture.
really get that era a
That
name.
was the new era. They called
New
it new
era.
era.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's what it was called. It was called the new era. And
Yeah.
and that was, I watched it then, and I watched Saturday Superstars, Sunday Superstars on Fox right before the X-Men or right after
Yeah.
the X-Men cartoon would show. So I was big into it. But that's the time that I really remember Piper, and Piper wasn't really involved in the WWF at the
Right.
time. He showed back up in WCW
Yep.
as an opposing force against Hogan when Hogan was doing the NWO gimmick. So for majority of the time, I remember
Yeah.
Piper.
He was out
He
of
was a
shape
good,
too. But
he was an old out. He was an old good guy fighting the
yeah.
bad guy. So
Yeah.
he was not the Hogan. He was not the Piper that He was not the Piper that you remember as much as
Yep.
He was the good guy version of that one. I
I was a
remember.
huge, as a kid, Heart Foundation fan. I loved
Oh,
the Heart
Brett
Foundation.
and Brett and
Brett and Jim
Neidhart.
Neidhart. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Red?
Yes, random. That's we got X-Men 97 starting up in I don't know, a couple weeks or something, right? I'm not sure if you're a fan of that, Ed. I'm looking forward to that. I actually started rewatching the
Yeah,
ones
I
from.
keep thinking when I get home, right, I'm going to sit down and watch a couple episodes on Disney Plus of the
Yep.
original X-Men, right? And I'm like, then
Yeah.
I get doing something else or pop something else on. I'm like, yeah, I was going to watch that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you want to talk about something for next week and we want to jump on, get yourself through season 1 and we can talk about season 1 from that next week if you want. Just as an idea.
Yeah,
I mean, with the
something
new
like
one
that for
coming
sure.
out, it'd be interesting. I'm
Yeah,
not sure what they're going to do with the new seasons. There's some interesting things in the trailer, which I'm really pumped up to see what they do with.
it's
We'll
been
see
so
if Disney
long
can screw
since I've
something else
seen
up.
those cartoons, like since they were actually out on TV. So I have to
Yeah,
watch
that's
all
how
of
it was
them.
for me. I got my boys into it when it started on Disney Plus when it came out during COVID or whatever, and they got Disney
Yeah,
Plus out there. They started watching it and streaming it. I watched a little bit of it, but hadn't really watched. I was talking to my brother-in-law who's my
yeah,
age, and we grew up during that time. So we were like
yeah.
we were like 8, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, and we were chatting. He's like, "Oh, it's gonna be cool," and I'm like, "Oh, we'll see if Disney ruins it." But yes, I see what you're saying, Matt. Too. I'm worried about it too, but I'm hopeful that we can at least enjoy something. It seems like they have an interesting direction of the story
Yeah.
with that. I don't know if you saw that, Ed. Did you see it?
I didn't see the trailer or nothing. No,
Oh,
I've only. I mean, I said bits and pieces of it, but I haven't watched the actual trailer for it.
do you want to know? Do
Yeah,
you
tell
mind?
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
go
So at the
for it.
end of it, and I've only watched it once. I haven't done a deep dive into it, but what I picked up on is that Xavier's dead, or he's not around, one of the two. And that may have happened in the cartoon from when I was a kid and I don't remember.
Right,
And this is supposed to be a direct continuation. That's why they call it 97, because the old
right.
one ended in 96.
Yep.
So if that's the case and they keep going down that route, the Xavier has left in his will the X-Men or whatever, or the Academy, I don't know, to Magneto. And Magneto, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see the direction they go with it. So until they give Roger booty back. Yeah, that'll be. I've seen a lot of complaints about that. It's not that, but we'll see what happens. I'm
There's been a
optimistic.
huge shift in comics away from all that stuff. I mean,
Oh
so
yeah.
many of the characters have been giving, because the 90s, it was all about pouches, belts, and, boobs and booties for the
Oh yeah.
characters, right? And
Yeah.
like they've just gone away from that whole thing.
Got,
So,
gotcha. Yeah, we'll see what they do with it. I'll give it a shot and hope that it's good. And if it's not, well, whatever. I still have the first 5 seasons, and
yep,
I'll just chalk that off to not part of my lore that I want to follow it with.
that's right.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to giving it a chance, and that's what I'm going to do. Is give it an. I
Yep.
always do that with every Marvel thing, and my brother gives me a hard time. He's like, "Why do you still support it? The stuff sucks. It's not good." And I'm like, I move away from it. My thing is, I'm not going to get it in any other format. And for me, as a kid who sat in his bedroom reading his dad's comics from the 60s and 70s and
So
wishing I could see it on the big screen, it's the closest thing I'm going to get.
that's the problem that I have, right? Like I grew up a DC guy, still a DC guy, right?
Well, I mean, it makes sense. You love your villains like Batman and Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you had someone who invaded an entire planet and tried to destroy it.
Yeah. But he
from
didn't do
the
that in the
and then you had a guy who had his parents killed. So I mean, I could see it. You like the bad guys.
I definitely like the bad guys, especially Batman, right? He's my favorite.
Worst villain in the history of comics.
And my favorite Marvel guy is Punisher. So there you go, right?
Oh man, yeah, this is making sense. I mean, the only other thing I would have expected is you to say you like Deadpool, which I saw the trailer for that, and that looks interesting.
Yeah, Deadpool looks like fun. I like Deadpool only because it's fun. Deadpool is like, the character you watch and read just for fun. But anyway, I grew up a big DC guy, and because DC was the most popular when I was a kid, right? In the 70s, it was all about Batman and all them, and Superman was out in the theaters in the 70s and 80s. So there's never been Michael Keaton had some good Batman movies, but there hasn't been a lot of great DC stuff other than the animated stuff. But then you see Marvel, and Marvel's the same way now, right? It's like, I like the MCU, but I was never a big fan of a lot of the older comic books. I like some of them, some of the Captain America, some Avengers, some X-Men stuff. But I haven't seen anything that's like, holy shit, in a long time, right? Like, I think the MCU, they should have just stopped, right? After Endgame. Just let it die for a little while, right? Not that it needed to go away. It just needed to die for a little while. Just stop.
Yeah. I guess my thing is that, yes, it was hard because the way they did everything so good up until then.
Right. But here's the
everything
thing, right?
Else felt
had they let it die,
done.
They could have done something really good, right? Like stop with all the movie tie-ins, right? Because they're still trying to tie everything back to the original storyline, right? Even though it's a new storyline, right?
Which I love.
Right. So they could have stopped with that, done things like the What If, which was cool, right? Because the What If,
I didn't actually watch those. Those.
What Ifs were interesting.
Okay.
Right? And they could have done something else, like giving us some more animated series or something, and then give people time to stop with all the live action, then go back to the live action and start fresh with a whole new, villain arc and everything else. DC's done the same thing though, right? They keep trying to rebirth all these character lines instead of just starting from one place and moving forward.
I guess that's the thing, right? Like, you're saying they need to do more what DC did and now reset at some point, but then
I'm saying DC did the same thing. Is that Marvel and DC, they just needed to stop what they were doing and like start from scratch and then follow that storyline on, but they needed to give people a break, right?
Well, correct me if I'm
wrong. There hasn't been enough time, is what I'm saying. Like,
correct me if I'm wrong. Well, yeah, I can see that.
Right,
like, you're saying there's not been enough time. I'll agree with you there. There wasn't enough time between the Batman resets and then the DC resets, right?
Right.
But what I'm seeing is that DC has not successfully been able to drive a continuation saga.
Yep.
Exactly. So they keep resetting frequently. Yep. Where MCU is so good at creating a consumable long-term story. Right? But then they hit a point where now they're not resetting soon enough in your eyes. To me, if they reset, I don't know that I'll care as much anymore.
No, I don't think. I think what Marvel needed to do is end at Endgame, right? and then give like a 2-3 year break with nothing tied to that story, and then start from scratch again with a new storyline.
See, I like, to me, even though the stories have in some ways sucked, so I don't know that I feel the story has sucked from the underlying. I don't want to sound stupid here, but I'm a nerd. I love my crap. Keep throwing crap at me, I'm going to keep consuming it probably, even if it is crap. And what I mean by that is the overarching story to get to where they're going, I've appreciated. I've appreciated the fact that you have an Eternal that's living in an island or living in the water and you don't know where it's going to go. And maybe that's Savage Lands, or I don't know. Maybe there's Antimanium there. I'd like the new Black Panther movie because of what it had and the things it tied in and the openings that it prevented. I didn't care for the Eternals in the movie, right? Like, I didn't like the movie itself, but I liked the cookie crumbs it set to continue the journey in the same world, in the same storyline. Those arcs or those chapters of this longer story have absolutely sucked. You've had such good, let's just treat, the first phases as it was all one book, right? That was a great book with a bunch of awesome chapters with a conclusion that was really good. And now we're in this next book. And right now, there's been the chapters at each movie or each show being its own individual chapter in this same book. They've sucked. If you look at it as a book, the book itself has sucked.
Yep.
But the chapters, well, actually, hold on, let me take a step back. The book itself hasn't sucked. The chapters individually have sucked, but there's enough in there for me to enjoy the continuation that I want to keep. I'm so vested and I want to continue through that I keep consuming to get that, even if, let's just say 95% of the movie sucks, but there's that 5% little bit that I'm like, ooh, cool. This is like continuing here. Like, this could happen. And, we can go here. So for me, I enjoy that. Even in what movie was it? The Doctor Strange movie. I got Jim Halpert to be my Mr. Fantastic. He is who Mr. Fantastic should be. He looks him.
He did a great job as Mr. Fantastic.
He was the best one I've ever seen. And now they got some crappy guy coming out to do it, which I'm not a fan of. The ones they've announced. I also feel like Johnny Torch should have been that young. He was a young kid, Zac Efron or whatever. His perfect Johnny Storm. Like, he should have been cast out. I don't know who Sue Storm should have been. And could have been the guy Jim Halpert, whoever he is. Could have been his wife, his real life wife. She would have been a good Sue Storm. But
that was her name.
It's Emily one of the giant. I don't think he's married to Emily Blunt, is he? I think he's married to. I want to say. No, maybe you're right. Yeah, he is married to Emily Blunt. I think whatever his name is, whoever he is. But yeah, like, there would have been good ones, but some of the casting's been skeptical. I didn't mind. A lot of people crapped on the last Black Panther movie. Was it great? No. But was there some cool parts to it? I thought so. Killmonger coming back was cool to me. One of my favorite MCU characters of all time. And I didn't even know who he was until I saw that movie. I didn't know anything about the Black Panther lore because it just wasn't something I had consumed previously. So to me, there was some really cool stuff in there that I really enjoyed. I liked them so much, Radnam, that I literally refused to watch any MCU movies outside of the Iron Mans once they cast Chris Evans to be Captain America, because I was so confident that there is no way in the world Johnny Storm could be Captain America. So I refused to watch them up until Winter Soldier came out. So I watched Iron Man 1, 2, and 3. I didn't watch any of the other MCU stuff at all. Avengers, Captain America, original, any of that stuff, until Winter Soldier came out, because I love Winter Soldier. And then I finally broke and gave it a chance, and I said, well, Chris Evans isn't going away. So I was all about him being Johnny Storm. I mean, and he was a perfect Johnny Storm.
So that Fantastic Four movie wasn't horrible. It wasn't great.
They were cheesy. They were 2000s cheesy. They were 1999 cheesy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they were. But they were entertaining. They got me my.
The problem with the Fantastic Four is that the Fantastic Four is a team of superheroes that have a very deep rooted cult following from the comic books in the 60s and 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to translate that onto screen for a modern time is not easy, because it's like Star Trek, right? You got the people that like the new Star Trek movies that are like, oh, these are cool, fun, entertaining, whatever, right? And they tie into Star Trek. Then you have the diehard Trekkies that are like, this isn't my Star Trek. That's the problem you have with the Fantastic Four is you can't take the way those characters were written back in the 60s and translate it to a modern time without changing the
Yeah.
characters so much that the true fans of the Fantastic
Well,
Four lose themselves.
I think they could. I think the problem that they've had is the first two Fantastic Fours that were done in the early times, right? They were good in the sense that they were cheesy comics to movies, gave you the idea. They weren't true to the stories, but they were close enough. Some of the castings were decent, right? Like the Thing was good, Johnny was good, and Mr. Fantastic was decent. I think Mr. Fantastic was a little cheesy, too geeky, not masculine enough for
Mm-hmm.
me. And Doctor Doom I thought was good. He was an ass. Like I thought he was good, but the Sue Storm didn't match what I would expect.
Yeah.
And she was a hot commodity back then that was hugely
Yep.
cast for a lot of things, and
Oh yeah.
and so like it made sense in a
But
in a
like
financial
you got
standpoint.
you
But
got the new thing coming out where they got Pedro Pascal, right? And I
I
like
hate it.
him. I like him as
Hate
an
it.
actor, right? But is he Reed Richards? No, he's not Reed
Well,
Richards.
Well, here's an example, and this isn't me trying to crap on like diversity stuff or anything by any sense of the mean. But the previous one that they just did, that Fox like bombed on for the Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan, I
Right.
love Michael B. Jordan. He's an amazing actor. I've been
Right.
watching him since he was on sitcom television, like not sitcom,
Yeah.
but since when he was on like network television, and you just
Yep.
watched him in TV shows. Amazing actor, love him in everything he's done. I've never seen that movie because I just couldn't wrap my head around the characterization there. It
Yeah.
didn't make sense to me. I get that there was an adoption maybe or something like that or whatever. It just
Yeah.
didn't work for me. So I couldn't buy
Well, that's
into
the
it.
thing, right?
The
Like
casting was horrible.
Sue and Johnny
Even
are supposed
even
to be
Mr.
brother and
Fantastic was
sister,
horrible.
right? Sue and
Yeah.
Johnny are supposed to be brother and sister. So how do
Yeah.
how do you make that work, right?
I mean, you could do it through an adoption, and that's fine. However, even Miles Teller, who I think is a good actor, was a horrible casting for Mr. Fantastic, which is I think what he was, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. So, like, there was definitely some things that were left to be desired, and if you don't cast right, it's going to be bad. And I think this Fantastic Four, with the history of what Disney's been doing to MCU recently, I don't have much faith in the
No.
castings, all of them. I
Right.
think
And
maybe
besides that, like when John Krasinski played Reed Richards in Doctor Strange, right?
What is it?
John Krasinski played
Oh
Reed
yeah, yeah,
Richards,
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
right? And
Jim Halpert. Yeah,
yeah, like he did such an amazing job and fit that role so well. Why wouldn't you go after him? Instead of going with your hot commodity, Pedro Pascal, who's been your Mando and is the big seller, he's not even in the Mando suit anymore, right?
he's not
I
going to be
mean,
good. You're going to
he's a
bomb that.
great actor because I loved him in that movie. Yeah, I loved him in that Netflix series Narcos or whatever that was called, right? Where he was the
Okay,
detective down in
I
South.
haven't seen it.
In, oh, it's a great series on Netflix, right? Where he's like a detective down
Gotcha.
in the drug times of Colombia, down in
Okay.
South America. So he's a great actor,
Yeah.
but he's not Reed Richards, right? He's just not.
Well, that's the thing, right? And that's where the issue is. I think they might have did a decent job with Sue Storm from what I saw in the pictures, but like, yeah, here's the thing. And honestly, I saw some rumors that Henry Cavill has been cast for a special MCU role here in the future.
Yeah,
And some rumors I saw he could potentially be Doctor Doom. I'm like, I could see that maybe from a look and stuff. Like,
yeah,
he's gonna have to be a very like cunning, aggressive, harsh kind of like entity when he plays that role. I don't know if he can do it. I haven't seen him in enough, but from an initial glance, I'm like, I can see that working if that's the route they go. But again, it doesn't matter how well he fits and Sue Storm fits if the three other Fantastic Four members, and
right.
let's be honest, the Thing, I don't care, right? CGI the hell out of that and call it a day. I don't give a
Yeah,
crap. So the other two, Mr. Fantastic and Johnny Storm, I don't see it in either of those castings, and because of that, it'll just be another failed Fantastic Four, is my
yeah,
assumption.
yep,
And if that happens, then you have to completely reboot.
Yep.
again.
Yep.
And if in my understanding is that from what I've seen in the Deadpool trailer is he's referred to as MCU Jesus, and
Yep.
he's going to be resetting everything, which is what everybody's thinking. And if that's the case and it gives us a full reboot, what a Fantastic Four is probably going to be the first one coming out of the gate as part of that
Yep.
reboot officially, maybe. I don't know.
Yep. And I
I don't
think
know.
it's gonna tank because I
And if
just
that's the case, Disney's got a major issue on their hands
yeah. Well,
because
they already do because they've already lost so
right,
much of their fandom. So I mean,
yeah,
they have to come out of the gate now with a banger, or else they're screwed, right?
yeah. In an attempt to find a new fan base, they have discouraged a lot of the current fan base from
Right.
being
But
enjoying it. And I'm
it's
not saying you can't appease both because I
right.
think you can.
Right? Because they did with the MCU, right?
Yeah,
Like they brought out Iron Man and they got a whole new generation of Iron Man fans like Luke, right? He was 3-4 years old when the first
yeah,
Iron Man came out. Maybe a little bit younger or a little bit older. I can't remember. But, he was an MCU fan his whole life, right? I I loved it because I've always loved the comic books, right? So it's like
yeah,
they did that good. And I understand you got to bring in a whole new generation because you want to go on another 15 years of movies, right, with the new
right.
MCU. But
Well,
you you got to do it the right way. You can't just make movies and hope you have enough cultural and everything else representation so you can feel good about yourselves.
an
Just make a
example
good
here is they
fucking movie.
did. But they did, and they did well. The Black Panther movie was a
Oh
great
yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunately a very tragic ending to
Right. Yeah, for sure.
a man that was gone way too
But
soon.
nobody could have saw that coming, right?
Right,
I mean, that
but
wasn't like
they did great with that, and had they
yep.
and unfortunately, if he hadn't met his untimely passing, he likely would have helped drive that
But they
bucket.
even did a good
And
job at the end of MCU when Captain America retired and gave the shield to Falcon.
yeah,
They could
well,
have gone on with
yeah,
that story because that was
yeah,
a believable part of that story,
and
right?
they
They
did
did
it
a
in the
really
TV
good
show.
job. Yeah.
And they did it in the TV show, and I didn't mind it. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked some of the stuff they hinted towards with
Yeah.
one of the characters that they met in the house, and again,
Right.
initially,
But
they
that's what I'm saying,
expanded on
right?
that
They wrote that into the story in such a way that it was believable
and
and people
inclusive,
right, and people
and
bought into it. They didn't
yeah,
just
I
say,
loved it.
"Oh, by the way, our new Johnny Storm is a black dude and we're not
An
sure how he
amazing
became."
actor, and I
Yeah.
get why they would want to work with him because he
Right,
is an
for
amazing
sure, right?
actor.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. But
yeah, but you have, and here's the thing, like trying to, because again, from a financial standpoint, it makes complete sense to try to pull in, because right, you've already got the $1 million from your current fan base.
yeah,
Well, now we want to get the $1 million from people who aren't in our fan base that are just
yep.
passively starting to get into MCU. How do we
Yep,
appease to them? Well, let's do a Miss Marvel movie, but let's do it right. First, let's cast a woman who isn't going to run her mouth off and cause dissension amongst fans and people.
right,
Let's make it about everyone. Hey, this can be an enjoyable thing for
right.
all people.
That's my
And
biggest problem that I have with Disney is they don't learn, right?
yeah,
It's kind of like Hasbro. Like Disney had that go on with Ms. Marvel, right? Where she ran her mouth,
bombed.
right? And then they had that problem when the girl they cast as Snow White. And they even
Oh yeah,
canceled that movie
I didn't
because she
see anything on that
right,
because I wasn't following it.
right. But she ran her mouth about how Snow White isn't going to get kissed to be saved anymore and all this other stuff because those
Oh,
fairy tales are outdated. Well, nobody wants to see Snow White that's not a princess. Sorry, Sunshine.
right.
You know, take your stupid ass and go somewhere else. So that
Yeah.
movie got totally canceled. And
Okay.
now they're bringing in this new woman to do Star Wars. And her whole thing was about how
Oh,
she's going to make men uncomfortable, right? Why are
yeah,
you
I did
not
hear
learning
that.
Disney that doesn't work,
Why don't we
right?
try to make everybody comfortable?
Right. That's what I'm saying, right?
Everyone.
Why are we trying to piss off segments to appease another segment? Because that's not being inclusive either. That's being
Right. Why? Well, here's the kicker to it. Just like we talk about, even in the small circle of YouTube, right? And the YouTube, toy community. Like controversy creates cash, right? Like
mhm,
people think that. Well, it's proving that that's not the case.
yep.
Like, yeah, maybe in a small spectrum it can do it, but
Well, it's
like,
also different now, right? Like 10 years ago, It probably did because people weren't so ready to separate themselves from
Well,
everybody
that's the
else,
other thing, right? Because
right?
that cancel culture swings both ways now.
Yeah.
Folks that are on one side of an argument of something are going to be like, "Well, I'm not going to follow your stuff. I'm walking
Yep.
out." And
Yep.
then on the other
Exactly.
side, I'm going to walk out too. And it's like
Yep.
that. All that is cause division,
Yep.
and it's
But 10
subtraction,
years ago, that didn't
and it's
happen, right?
negative,
So
right?
you made something that was controversial. Both sides saw it because the one side was like, I got to see this to find out what all the
Yeah,
controversy is about. And the other side's like, I want to see this because I love it, right? I love the controversy. So,
right,
but that there wasn't this, well, I don't like what you're representing, so I'm not going to see your shit. And you
right,
just lost me as a fan. And then the other side is, well, if you don't have any representation, I'm not going to see it because
right.
you're going to lose me as a fan. So it's
And
like,
there's a way to appease all
for
people
sure.
in the form of entertainment without ruining the historical relevance of a character
Right.
and what people know. And to say that there are circumstances and things that were written in the 60s, I'm sure in the 70s and even 80s, 90s, that probably can't be or shouldn't have been written then and shouldn't be spoken to in the same manner it is,
Right. Well,
today.
it's
So you
like
do have to pivot,
right.
but you
It's
can
like
do it
Tom
in a
Sawyer,
way.
right? Like in Tom
Exactly.
Sawyer, Mark Twain used the N-word, 100 times, a million times, right? That's how people
Completely
talked back then,
unacceptable today.
right? But that's
Exactly.
how people talked back then, so that's how he wrote the book, right?
Yes.
Now, should we burn all of Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer books? No. Take the word out, substitute
Yeah.
it, rewrite it for something else, right?
But
If you're
just
going to
to be
make a
culturally
movie,
relevant so it
right,
doesn't hurt and
right.
offend and
But
and
that doesn't mean you
and whatnot.
cancel the history from that, right? And
Right.
that's
You
when you
don't erase that it never happened. We should
right.
speak to the fact that we lived in a time where it was such a stupid approach to things that people would actually use that in everyday
Yeah.
fluid English, and it's not appropriate. And this is
Right.
why we removed it from those books moving forward, because
Right.
it wasn't appropriate. Largo, I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like there was enough throughout the interactions on your left. You had those subtle things. I can do this all day. Like you had those times where they interacted. And you didn't get a full on buddy bromance movie between the two of them, but I don't know that I would have been okay with a bromance movie for the two of them or series. I think it was done. I think I'm a Bucky dude. I'm a Winter Soldier guy. I think Winter Soldier should have got the damn shield, and I think he should have been Mr. Captain America. That's just my love of him. And then move on from there. And then, but again, my son loves Falcon. It's one of his favorite characters. He's the one we have to get off the shelf whenever he would see my youngest one. Whenever he would see a Falcon in the store, he wanted his Falcon figure. So when Falcon got thrown up in the Captain America armor, that was one of the first ones we got from him because he looked badass and it's all
Yeah.
about the America.
So,
So
it's it's funny because like a lot of people, you know, trash on certain things, right? And I've seen it with Luke, and you've probably seen it with your kids, especially your sons, because they're so far apart in age, right? Like your oldest son's closer to Luke's age, right? A couple years older.
he'll be 21
And
soon.
yeah, so it's like I grew up with the original Star Wars, so of course I think that's best, right? Luke grew up with Phantom Menace and the prequels, right? And he loves those movies.
Really?
He likes my Star Wars, but he loves
Well,
those prequels, right?
I mean, the same difference between you and I. You like those ripoffs of Spaceballs, and I grew
Right.
up when Spaceballs was a thing.
Right, exactly. You grew up with Barf co-piloting a fucking camper driving through space, right?
And Pizza the Hut. Come
Right.
on.
Pizza the Hut, yeah. And yogurt. I mean,
Exactly. Use the force. I'm
yeah,
combing the desert. And we
yeah.
ain't find shit.
God, that was
That movie
we
was
ain't
great.
found shit.
Hot take by Adam. You're right.
Oh, wait, Adam popped in.
I
Hi,
think
Adam.
I think you're right. I think you're right in that statement. I won't disagree with that.
Yeah,
But I think you can appease both casuals and your fans by staying loyal to the lore
yeah,
while still pulling in pieces that attract the casual fans.
I
It's been
agree.
done forever, right? Like that's what most movies, any movie that was an adaptation from any other um form of material, form of entertainment has done that, right? And I mean, some have been more successful than others, but you know, Kenzo, yeah, that's Spaceballs, best movie ever. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying there, Adam. It's very much so. Um, but when a movie like
It's really not a matter of not including the fans and also the casual goers, right? The problem is that I think like Disney now is so focused on appeasing certain groups that they forget about everybody else, right? So they want to be inclusive, but they're so inclusive that they leave out people that might not agree with that, what they're
well,
trying to do,
I
right?
don't know that that's the way they do it. My thing is like it's so much more than that. The woman that took over Star Wars outright said she's going to try to make men
Right. That's what
uncomfortable.
I'm
Why
talking
would
about.
you
That
even say that?
right. That's what
Maybe
I'm
it's taken out
referencing,
of
right?
context. Maybe it's
Right.
taken out of context. But that to me is that's a flagrant foul. It's like why are you even saying that? Why
Right.
can we not deliver something that satisfies both or
Right.
all, right? Like
Well, it's like
let's be truly inclusive of all
right.
without trying to make anyone
I've
uncomfortable.
heard
Let's
so
just
many
make
people
it good.
say, "Oh, well, Star Wars needed some strong female characters." Well,
Yeah,
what happened
absolutely.
to Leia and Padme? They were both strong female characters, right?
I don't know Star Wars well enough, but hey,
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Right. I'm saying like Leia in the 70s and 80s was a strong female character. Padme in the 90s, 2000s, whatever it was a strong female character. So I understand that we need more of them, but you can't say that it never happened in Star Wars. Like this lady is trying to say that they're going to make Star Wars so men feel uncomfortable. Well,
Yeah.
you know, what does that mean exactly? Because now I'm offended, right? It's like, are you going to have all the, men getting killed or, being slaves or what is your view of
Yeah,
making men feel
I don't know.
uncomfortable, right?
I
That's the part
probably
that's scary, right? Because
I'll
what
give
does
it a
that mean?
shot. I'll give
Sure,
it a
I'll
shot and
watch
listen
it.
to it. I'll watch it, see what it
Yeah,
is.
I'll
Because
definitely
again,
watch it.
I it goes back to the whole Marvel movies, right? Like they are what they are.
Yeah.
And as even though some points of the
Well,
movie suck and the shows suck, I
I've gotten
still am
very good at
following for
just
the end.
watching movies for entertainment purposes and not
That's what
reading
it
too
is.
far into it, right? But
That's what it is. You have to. And you have to do that with any form of entertainment nowadays
right.
because there's so much. And I don't know if it's because I'm older, just like, when I was a kid, I didn't follow the news and stuff. I didn't see things. Politics didn't impact me as much. I didn't
Yeah,
recognize
I'm
them.
sure like there was, I'm sure like
My
throughout
eyes are
history,
wider.
actors and actresses have always and
Yeah.
directors and movie producers have probably always said stupid shit that the studio or whatever wish they didn't, right?
Right.
But now like we don't get the full story, right? We get
Right.
the snippet of what was said and it's the hot take, right? Like
Yeah.
that woman saying, "I'm going
I
to make
haven't
a
even
movie
seen
that
that.
makes men uncomfortable," right? Well,
She
what
might
was the
have right
rest of that
before that.
conversation, right?
Exactly. Right
What was the
before that,
rest of that conversation?
she might have been, hey, if you only want to see a bunch of powerful men that are killing each other and a man wins in the end and he's the
Right,
savior, then I'm going to make you men uncomfortable because it's not.
right,
And that might have been the whole thing. I haven't seen it. I only know
right,
that little snippet, like you're saying,
right.
which is,
And
again, you don't
but
know the
that's the
whole
problem
story.
with today, right? We only get the hot takes in the media
Yeah.
on both sides, right? The whole
100%.
spectrum, right?
100%.
And it's like,
Exactly.
people are
Yep.
showing you exactly what they want you to grab your attention with,
Pull
and
you.
you're lost, right?
Get your clicks, get your views, that type of stuff. 100%. Yeah. I'm just
Yep.
like, my thing is, I'll enjoy it if it's enjoyable and I can
And
find any
it's,
joy in it.
social media and stuff. Yeah. Social media and stuff makes it so accessible now. Like I said, probably in the 50s and 60s, Marilyn Monroe and, you know, uh, Dean Martin or whoever the hell it was, right? Actor, James Dean were probably saying shit that the studios were like, "Ooh, why did you say that?" Right? But it
Right.
wasn't ever
Well,
broadcasted. You know what I
and
mean? It
well,
was like it
and
was
social
a live
media.
studio or interview, right? And that was the only people that heard it was a local radio segment or TV segment, right? Because
Exactly.
TV wasn't nationwide, really. It was like, you had your Buffalo market, you had your, Albany market, and that's what you saw, what was interviewed in that section, right? It was like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna enjoy it for what I
well,
can and
that's
see.
true too. Like Matthew said, the actors and directors used to be very controlled
Well,
by
they had
their
publicists in front of them every time, right?
yeah,
And now they have a phone in front of them. And
yeah,
just as easy as Matthew, myself, you, or
yeah, right. It's
Adam
easy
or
to throw an
anyone can get
opinions
on
and
and
stuff
say
there. Yep,
something stupid, right?
yep,
Like, and that's why
exactly.
it comes down to. I just hope that the movies and the entertainment that we try to consume are enjoyable. I think that we all kind of, think back to, using the example in the X-Men, right? Like,
I
it
just
was great in
wish,
the 90s, but,
yeah, I just
hopefully it's
want
continues.
good stories, right?
That's
I
it.
don't give a shit about anything else that's in that movie. Throw whoever you want in there. Just write a good story that makes fucking sense. Don't
Yeah.
put characters in just to put a character in. Don't put
Yeah.
fucking storylines in just to put them in the book, right? I even felt that way about like back in the 80s and 90s and the 70s, especially like when they would just throw like a random nude scene in there just to have a nude scene in the
Just
movie,
to,
right? It's
yeah.
like, well, that doesn't make any sense to the movie, right? As a 15-year-old, did I like to see boobs? Yes, I like to see the boobs, but did it make sense to the movie? No, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and when you watch it
100%.
as an older guy, you're like, why was that in there?
That's
Just a
cringe, right? Like,
gratuitous
exactly.
boob shot. I mean, I get it, right? But
Yeah.
that didn't have to
100%.
be in there, right?
One thing I will point out to Adam's take, his hot take: casuals don't. They go see movies. Fans make up the small portion of the audience, unless they're wrestling fans. Because go look at all of the Rock movies. Anything that any wrestling fans are truly loyal to the cause, they will support their wrestlers, no matter whether it is Thunders in Paradise, Mr. Nanny,
Yep.
The Rock in the G.I. Joe movie, any of that stuff. They will go out in
Dude,
packs to go
people
see
were
and support
fucking
their
all
people.
over those Hulk Hogan movies, and every single one of them was garbage.
And The Rock saved what is it? Not going at 60 seconds. It's the
He saved Fast and the Furious. He
Fast and the
saved G.I.
Furious, the
Joe.
G.I. Joe he came out and
He
made money
saved
for.
Jumanji.
So many things he came out and
Yeah.
attached himself to and made it huge. Black Adam, whole different situation. I feel like his ego has struck a different chord at this point, and he may have made some
he's gotten too
poor
big for himself
decisions.
now.
Exactly. But it'll course correct itself. But I think that a lot of people will go out and support that wrestling stuff. But I think the majority of things where Adam's saying is that the hot take is that casuals go out and spend money, and you need to draw in the casuals.
Well, the other
agree.
thing you got to take into consideration too nowadays, right, is that people don't go to the movies like they used to.
Right.
Like when my
TV
ex-wife and I, when Luke's mom and I first got together, we used to go out to the movies every Sunday for a matinee. Okay. Whatever was brand new, we saw it. Didn't matter if it was a chick flick, action flick, whatever was the newest movie.
Yep.
We went and saw it. If it was two new movies out at the same time, we flipped a coin to see who got their movie picked, right? It was like, and now people are like, yeah, I'll just stay home and wait till it streams, right? Because I can watch it, pause it if I have to, whatever, right?
Yeah, like this new Madam.
And not spend $25 for a movie's ticket. Right?
That new Madam Spider-Man one or whatever it is. Madam Web, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about it. I just know that it's Marvel-esque, tied into Spider-Verse, something like that. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Morbius. These are all things I will watch at some point. My brother-in-law went last weekend to see the Madam Web one. He said it was so bad. Yeah. Like, it was just
everybody
a bad
that's
movie.
seeing it is saying that it was actually a bad movie.
Yeah, right? He's just saying it's a bad movie. It just
wasn't well done.
Right. My brother-in-law doesn't get into the politics of things. He ignores it. He watches movies for entertainment value. And he said this movie was so bad. He took my nephew and my niece and his wife out to it, and they did not enjoy it. They went to, we have an old school cinema around here where they play one movie at a time, and you can go watch it in an old cinema theater.
We have one here too.
So we go to there, and it's a relatively inexpensive, movie theater. So we'll go to that sometimes. He was there, said he would never go see it again there. Like, even at that price, it wasn't worth it. So I'll wait till it comes out on TV.
Morbius wasn't great. Morbius, it's worth a watch, but it wasn't great.
I'm going to check it out. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, I think we've been going for like almost 3 hours here.
Almost 3 hours, yeah. I got to eat and go to bed myself, man. So
same here, man. So see you next. We'll be in touch.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking tomorrow, I'm sure.
I'm gonna bounce off here.
Yeah, me too.
Cool, dude. Thanks for having me, Ed.
Thanks for stopping on. Everybody, thanks for popping on, and I'm gonna end the stream. Everybody have a great night.
Take it easy, guys.